managing partner from IMCM also to please come on the dais. Man, can we show the platform?
Yeah. Mukul, can you please show the platform once?
Yeah, I'm sharing the screen. Okay, so are you able to see my screen?
Yeah, we are able to see.
This is how the platform is.
Yeah.
Once anybody who is attending this enter into that part. So Mukul, can you take it to the auditorium?
Yeah. So this is our landing page. From here you have to all the visitors have to log in to the event. So just click on login and add your registered email ID and login. So this is the pre-lobby where you have to just click on visit exhibition. So now this is our exhibition hall where you will find all the details like expo room, auditorium and meeting lounge. So and you can also visit those through this top panel where you will see the agenda, auditorium, networking lounge and exhibition hall. Left panel have sponsors, exhibitors, briefcase and help desk. To visit the auditorium you have to click on auditorium and you will see
if I can request you if you can keep your mic a little far because there's a lot of disturbance coming.
Okay. Right now it is
yeah, better.
Yeah. So this is auditorium where you will see the live sessions of the event. As you are seeing this, you can directly visit the auditorium through this agenda and click on live. So you will be directed to the auditorium from here. So next is networking launch. Networking launch allows you to meet in person, meet with the other attendees of the event. You can just click on join and you will be joined to that meeting.
Yeah. Can you be a little louder, please? Your voice is a little buffering as such.
Yeah.
Be a little louder.
Right now it is fine.
Yeah. Better if you can take us to the exhibition hall.
Yeah. Exhibition hall. So this is exhibition hall where you will find all the companies, participating companies. So you just to visit the booth you just have to click on the booth and you will see the booth of that company. As you see that there is a bottom panel where you can use all the things. You can by clicking on chat and selecting the agent you can have chat with that booth agent. You can have you can drop your card to the agent of that booth so that the agent can contact you for future. So just click on the connect and your card will be dropped on this on the agent section. You can see the brochures from here. You can if you have any query regarding the company you just add the message and submit. So your message will be sent to the agent as an email. You can schedule meeting with the agents by clicking on schedule. In schedule a meeting you can just click select the time slot and the date for the meeting and the request will be sent to the booth agent. Then booth agent will accept your meeting and both booth agent and you will get a calendar invite for the meeting.
Thank you, Mukul. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mukul. You can just go back to the.
Yeah. Thank you. Just stop sharing, please.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and also good morning to people who have joined from various parts of the country. On behalf of PhD Chamber of Commerce and Industry, I welcome you all for this session which we are doing on global residency and citizenship and global real estate virtual expo, GRACE and GRE 2022, which we call. So I just request Mr. Sushant Ohri, Business Development, Benham and Reeves to please come on the dais, please. So before we start anything, I would request if you can all rise for the national anthem.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 जय
I would request our Secretary General, Mr. Saurabh Sanyal ji, to welcome our chief guest, His Excellency Mr. Ruben Gossi, with our green plant, please. I would request if you can welcome Mr. Till Newman as well, sir. And we also welcome Mr. Sushant Ohri from Benham and Reeves. And we also welcome all our panelists who are there virtually connected with us. Thank you very much for being with us. So once again, good morning and good afternoon to all of you on behalf of PSG Chamber of Commerce and Industry for this 4th edition of GRACE Hybrid Expo and Conference. So friends, we have really come along a long way in developing and executing the GRACE series of conferences focusing on different geographies. The response had been phenomenal, and we are proud to say that we have repeated participation every year, which clearly shows the intent and success of the GRACE and GRE Expo and Conference. Hybrid model of conferences and exhibition has turned out to be one of the most effective medium in the testing times of COVID to cater to the international market. I feel honored, and it is a privilege to be present among such a learned audience here. And we have roughly around 200 plus people who have joined the platform virtually with us. We'll be sharing all those details and the presentation with all the panelists after the event. We once again thank you for supporting us year after year. For the information of all who is present here, you can visit our virtual exhibition on www.grace.exposim.io. I repeat, grace, grace.exposim, exposim.io. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank our silver partner, Residency Malta, for supporting this event, our conference partners, Henley and Partners, Chestertons, Benham and Reeves India, Migrate World, House Finders Real Estate, the Lakhani Group, SRE Pte Limited, Ajmera Law Group, Krypton Global Investments, Acquisite Advisors, and also our supporters, Invest in USA, II USA, Embassy of Estonia, Embassy of Czech Republic, and our media partners, Civitas, Civicchio, Tanio, Gulf Property. Friends, due to the pandemic, the overall international investments have taken a big hit. But at the same time, the future seems to be quite promising. Lastly, I would request all our investors to practice due diligence before making any investments. With this, I would like to leave it to the industry experts from the industry to take things further. And now I would like to invite our President, Shri Pradeep Multani ji, to give the presidential address.
Thank you very much, Mr. Naveen, Assistant Secretary General, Mr. Naveen Seth. Good afternoon, all distinguished guests and learned audience. On behalf of PSG Chamber of Commerce and Industry, I would like to welcome you all to the 4th edition of GRACE and GRE Hybrid Expo 2022, interactive session on global residency and citizenship opportunities, along with luxury real estate and lifestyle. We have eminent personalities with us today. Guest of honor, His Excellency, Mr. Ruben Gossi, High Commissioner of the Republic of Malta, Mr. Charles Mizzi, Chief Executive Officer, Residency Malta, Mr. Sushant Ohri, Business Development, Benham and Reeves, Mr. Sheldon Labuschagne, Head of Global Citizenship, Chestron Global, Mrs. Shalini Lamba, CEO of Migrate World, Mr. Rahim Lakhani, President and CEO of the Lakhani Group, Mr. Till Newman, IMCM, Managing Partner, Citizen Lane, GmbH, Mr. Rohit Bhardwaj, Associate Director, Private Clients, Henley and Partners, Mr. Prashant Ajmera, Founder and Author, Ajmera Law Group, Mr. Asad Miznazi, Co-Founder and CEO, House Finders Real Estate, Mr. Saurabh Sanyal, Secretary General, and ASG, Mr. Naveen Seth, both of PhD CCI. First of all, please allow me to express my heartfelt appreciation to all our sponsors, Residency Malta, and our conference partners, Benham and Reeves, Chesterton's Global, Migrate World, the Lakhani Group, Citizen Lane, GmbH, Henley and Partners, Ajmera Law Group, House Finders Real Estate, along with our supporting partners, invest in the USA, IIUSA, Malta High Commission New Delhi, Enterprise Estonia, and Embassy of Czech Republic New Delhi for extending their support in organizing an interactive session on much talked about subject in the current market scenario. Before we proceed, I would like to explain the actual meaning of grace. If we go by dictionary, grace means smoothness and elegance of movement and courteous goodwill. Both the meaning gel really well with the motive of Grace Hybrid Expo 2022. We as organizers are here to help you smoothen your process for taking up residency or citizenship or doing international investments by working with organizations which have goodwill in the market. Due to the pandemic, the overall international investment has taken a big hit, but at the same time, the future seems to be quite promising. The US is and will remain the world's dominant wealth hub over our forecast period, but Asia will see the fastest growth in UHNWIs over the next 5 years at 39% compared with the 27% global average. Asia tops the 5-year UHNWI growth forecast with 39% led by India on 63%. At present, India is home to 6,884 UHNWI and 113 billionaires. The Billionaires Club in India is expected to increase significantly by 43% to 162 by 2025. The growth will outpace the global average growth of 24% and Asia average of 38% during the period. According to the report, an individual requires US $60,000 to join the wealthiest 1% club in India. The wealth growth forecasts predict India's threshold of 1%, the wealthiest club, to almost double in the next 5 years as per the Knight Frank Wealth Report for 2021. As per the Wealth Report 2021, 1 out of 5 of India's ultra high net worth individuals, UHNWIs, plan to buy a new home in 2021 compared to 1 out of 10 in 2020. The respondents choose upgrading the family's main residence, buying a new holiday home, and moving permanently to a new country or a territory as the 3 prominent reasons behind new purchases. Asia is quickly closing the gap on Europe, and it is predicted that by 2024, it will be the world's 2nd largest wealth hub with forecast 5-year growth of 44%. Of the top 20 fastest growing countries, 6 are located in Asia, led by India with 73% growth, 5 in Europe, led by Sweden with 47% growth, and 3 are in Africa, led by Egypt with 66% growth. For many wealthy Indian citizens, investment in real estate to obtain a golden visa is often an attractive option along with the opportunities which the US EB-5 visa offers. A clear benefit for many Indian passport holders is the ease of travel that a residency card or second passport brings. In the last few years, international travel has become increasingly difficult and time-consuming, especially when frequent and multiple visa applications are mandatory. Business visas for Indian citizens become easier to obtain on many second passports. Be it for business travel or leisure, a second citizenship and accompanying passport can significantly ease travel and visa applications for Indian citizens. At the end, I would also request and recommend all the investors to practice due diligence before making any decision regarding taking up any kind of residency or citizenship program. With this, I would like to leave it with the experts from the industry to take things further in explaining the benefits of different options available for citizenship in different parts of the world. Thank you, Jai Hind, and God bless us all.
Thank you very much, President Sir, for your address and setting the agenda for today's session. So now to take the session further, I would like to invite His Excellency, Mr. Ruben Gossi, the High Commissioner of the Republic of Malta. Just to give you a brief about His Excellency. His Excellency, Mr. Ruben Gossi was born on 20th May 1976 in Talpeta, Malta. He joined the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in 2007, following a national examination to enter the diplomatic service. He is the current High Commissioner of the Republic of Malta to India as from September 2020, resident in New Delhi. He presented credential to the President of India on 14th October 2020 during pandemic. I recall that time. Mr. Gossi previously served as the head of the representative office of the Republic of Malta in Ramallah, Palestine in the period October 2015 to September 2020. He also served as the Career Counsel General of the Republic of Malta in Istanbul, Turkey from July 2011 to September 2015 and charged the affairs ad interim at the Embassy of Malta in Lisbon, Portugal from February to June 2011. Prior to being posted abroad, he served in the Directorate of External Relations and Mediterranean Affairs and in the Directorate of Protocol and Consular Services. He completed a BA at the University of Malta in 1997. He also completed an MA in Human Rights and Democratization in 2004 and an MA in European Studies in 2008, both at the University of Malta. He is fluent in Maltese, English, Italian, and Russian. So I welcome His Excellency Mr. Ruben Gossi.
Thank you very much. So it is my greatest pleasure to be here to speak about my country, which is like India, a Commonwealth country. So we share a past with India, even though we do not share the size. And we also do not share the amount of population. In the case of Malta, we're talking about less than 500,000, less than 500,000. And here in India, you are already over 1 billion, the second largest population in the world, and most likely it will become the largest population in the world very, very soon. And I'm mentioning demographics because when we talk about, residency in Malta, obviously this affects immediately the issue of demography. Now, it's interesting, I mentioned that Malta is a member of Commonwealth, which means that we were part of the British Raj, we were under the British Raj, just like India. In our case, from 1800 till 1964, when we got our independence, 1974, when we became a republic, and 1979, when the British fleet left Malta. Now, during that time, Malta was a hub for British ships which were traveling to India. Why? Because of the Suez Canal. So once the Suez Canal was opened in the middle of the 19th century, the 1800s, ships used to leave the UK, pass through the Straits of Gibraltar, stop in Malta, probably stop in Cyprus, then straight through the Suez Canal in Egypt, and then to India. And that brought Indian people to Malta, even as back as the 19th century. So even though, apart from the fact that we don't share the same size and we don't share the same amount of population and we don't share a geography either in a sense, because India is Southeast Asia, Malta is South Europe. But due to the Suez Canal and due to our common, let's put it this way, membership of being under the British during that time, there was this connection. And that brought a number of Indians in Malta. In fact, we have been looking at old paintings and photos of Indians who visited Malta from the middle of the 19th century up until our independence. And in fact, Indians were already present in Malta business-wise during that time. In fact, there were, and they're still living in Malta. There are a number of Indian families who used to have textile shops in the main street of our capital, Republic Street. Before that, it used to be called Royal Street, Kingsway Street. And in the heart of our capital, there were Indian businesses which would go back to the beginning of the 20th century and even before. So the potential, okay, the residency in Malta, historically speaking, of Indians, goes back quite some time. Now, at the moment, the speaker before me mentioned visas. At the moment, we are at the High Commission of Malta, we are swimming in visas. We are swimming in visa applications, mainly workers. Indian workers going to Malta, because even though we are a small country, our economy is expanding very, very fast. Our population is not keeping up with the demand of work in all fields. This is a phenomenon which started like 5 to 10 years ago. So at the moment, the Maltese economy is literally craving for Indian workers to go to Malta, to use their skills for the good of our economy. So as I said, as we speak, and now that COVID is hopefully behind us, we have opened our processes especially for Indian workers to go to Malta. And I mean, the numbers which we have also giving the size of our High Commission, which, since you know what our population is and what our size is, you can imagine how big our High Commission is, which is not very big. So we're trying our best to keep up. And obviously now as well, we started issuing business visas and hopefully tourism as well. But as I said, I mean, we are very much stretched in order to try and keep up with the demand. In a sense, it's good if we were a shop, because, you know, it's like trying to sell and the demand is more than you can actually give. So we will definitely not go bankrupt in that situation, because we are issuing a number of visas, and I mean also we're having a lot of applications, which means revenue, of course, from the visa fee perspective. Now, to go to the issue of residency in Malta. Malta has always been interested in attracting high value investors throughout the years. And of course, with the Indian economy also expanding, and with the Indian economy being, if I'm not mistaken, the 6th largest in the world, India is part of the G20. So obviously, not just Malta, I would say the whole of the European Union is looking at India as a potential market. I mean, the European Union and India are now in negotiations for the free trade agreement. Hopefully it will yield results soon. Obviously, when you're dealing with the European Union, I know that India has already signed or is about to sign one with the UK and one with the United Arab Emirates. But in the case of dealing with the European Union, you're not just dealing with one country, but you're dealing with 27 countries. So when you have a bilateral free trade agreement, it's like India and the UK, or India and the United Arab Emirates. But when you're dealing with the European Union, it's India with Malta, Italy, France, Germany, Poland, 27 countries. So obviously that makes how can I put it, the process a little bit more, the process requires more time, I would say, because on one side you have one country, which is one of the largest in the world, population-wise, and on the other hand you have 27 who have to agree amongst themselves. But to go back to it, the European Union is really looking at India as, I mean, it's already a partner, but as an even stronger partner in the future. And we hope as a union that the free trade agreement is signed and is agreed upon, and obviously it bears fruit. So we're waiting and hoping for that to be achieved. And to go back to the residency, we are, for instance, you may have heard that Malta offers citizenship by investment. That was a program which was started in 2014 and is still on at the time. But even prior to that, and it's still on, we also offer residency by investment, which does not necessarily mean that one gets the citizenship, but that one gets the rights to live in Malta thanks to investment which has been made in the country. I understand that in India, one loses the Indian citizenship if you become a citizen of another country. Of course, you can have the overseas, if I'm not mistaken, the overseas passport. But once one becomes a citizen of another country, one loses the Indian citizenship. This is, of course, not the case for other countries. And in fact, we had a number of applicants as far as the citizenship by investment was concerned. And, you know, we had a number of high value and high level people from around the world obtaining the citizenship. We even had Indians as well obtaining the citizenship through investment and who kept their overseas passport so they could still live here in India, etc., etc. But the residency, in a sense, is, I would say, not easier, but I mean, you're not becoming the citizen of a country, but you're getting almost all the rights within that country if one invests, etc., etc. But the residency, yes, sorry, is it? Okay, I thought somebody is asking me a question. All right, okay. So obviously, in the case of the residency, we're not talking about obtaining the actual citizenship, but something, let's put it this way, lighter, but would still give the person who obtains it the right to live not only in Malta, but of course eventually in other European countries. For instance, that is what made our passport, our citizenship by investment very, very alluring, because once you obtain Maltese citizenship, you were basically a citizen of the whole of the European Union. So you could go and live in Spain, you could go and live in France, etc., etc. Now, the residency offers something similar, but on a lower scale, in the sense that once you're a legal resident in Malta, you could travel to other European countries relatively unhinged. So obviously, I understand from the Indian perspective, having freedom of movement within the European Union, it's something which definitely is alluring. So basically, to conclude, I'm not sure whether is there anybody from Malta who will be speaking after me. It's a recorded message, okay, from Charles. Of course, Charles Mitzi is very well known as far, and he will obviously. I mean, when I came to give this speech, I was told to, promote the country, speak about the country. I mean, me being here as a High Commissioner, but obviously the technicalities will come from my colleague in Malta, Mr. Charles Mitzi, who will speak obviously about what exactly should be done, etc., etc. So I think I should be now leaving the space for his speech, right? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Excellency, for giving us the broader overview of Malta. And I must say that since the day we have met you, sir, I think this is the 4th or 5th time we are meeting.
That's right.
Yeah, so every time there's something new to learn from you, and you have been very cooperative. And again, next month we are doing our International Week, which has been a flagship event for the last 2 years. So we will request you as well to be part of that as well. So thank you once again. So now we have a recorded message from Mr. Charles Mitzi, the Chief Executive Officer of Residency Malta. So just to give you a brief about Mr. Charles, he began his career in the banking sector, occupying several roles in the marketing and business development. In 2014, he became Executive Director Media and Marketing of the Maltese Presidency for the European Council. In 2017, he joined the Individual Investor Program Agency as Chief Officer for Communication and business development. Charles Mizzi graduated with a master's in business administration from the Henley Business School. Friends, just to give you a little bit more about Malta, though His Excellency has already given you, Malta has been inhabited since approximately 5900 BC. Its location in the center of Mediterranean, most of these foreign influences have left some sort of mark on the country's ancient culture. The Maltese archipelago lies virtually at the center of Mediterranean, 93 kilometers south of Sicily and 288 kilometers north of Africa. The archipelago consists of 3 islands, Malta, Gozo, and Comino, with a total population of over 5 lakh inhabitants, as His Excellency also mentioned, occupying an area of 316 square kilometers. Malta is the largest island and the cultural, commercial, and administrative center. Gozo is the second largest island and is more rural, characterized by fishing, tourism, crafts, and agriculture. Comino, the smallest of the trio, is largely uninhabited. With superbly sunny weather, attractive beaches, a thriving nightlife, and 7,000 years of intriguing history, there is a great deal to see and do. So now I present a video from Mr. Charles Mizzi, who is from Residency Malta.
Greetings from our Mediterranean island of Malta. My name is Charles Mizzi, and as Chief Executive Officer, I manage the government agency Residency Malta. Every time I must to present my country to an audience, it is very clear in my mind what I want to say. I want to make my country sound attractive to those who are considering second residency. I want to try to communicate as best as possible the beauty of our islands, the positive and memorable moments I experienced with my family when we were out in the countryside, or kayaking the beautiful caves of our pristine coast. I want to share with you the moment of pride when my children excel in a school that has high academic standards. I want to win over those of you who are perhaps considering a new country as a plan B. In reality, Malta is a plan A kind of country, and I say this with pride. It is one of the safest countries in the world, where children can run around freely with little supervision, and women go out for early jogs knowing that they will not be harassed. Malta is a secure and stable jurisdiction with a democratic government and a reputation for upholding civil liberties. We are a Commonwealth state, a member of the EU and the Eurozone, and a part of Schengen. Residents have access to world-class healthcare, and here, please allow me to boast for a while about how our health authorities and frontliners managed the pandemic exceptionally well. We mitigated the impact and made sure we cared for the most vulnerable. We currently have one of the world's highest vaccination rates, the result of strategic vaccine purchasing and an awareness campaign among the public of the importance of getting vaccinated. Our health authorities frequently revise preventive measures, so the country is always taking the best actions at a particular point in time in the life of the pandemic. Malta has state-of-the-art hospitals ranked top in the world, and the government's strong regional network of clinics in every town make a visit to the doctor fast and convenient. I have raised the issue of healthcare because I know it is foremost on our clients' minds when considering a country for second residency. Equally important to them is quality education for their children. Malta has a wide choice of public, private and share schools with curriculum based on the British model. Our schools not only hold academic achievement in high regard, but the children's personal development is also important on their agenda, and all schools have an extracurricular activity program as part of the schooling. We have a 400-year-old university that boasts faculty spanning widely different professions and research institutes that bridge the gap with industry. We also have a College of Arts, Science and Technology, and both campuses host a large community of foreign students. Our country punches above its weight when it comes to the economy. Malta has one of the strongest economies in the EU and regularly tops the chart on resilience and growth. Even in the wake of the pandemic, Malta has come out with flying colors, gaining positive reviews and forecasts from the major credit agencies, the European Commission and the International Monetary Fund. Entrepreneurs will find a host of attractive features valuable to their businesses, like a robust technology infrastructure, efficient government support services, a dedicated workforce, and sectors that have been flourishing for many years, including hospitality, aviation, film production, knowledge industry, financial services, pharmaceuticals, and gaming. We have the second largest port in the Mediterranean and the largest register of ships. and our airport is extremely well connected. Opening a business in Malta is straightforward. Malta serves well as a test base due to it being a fully developed market and small in size. It is ideal as a launchpad to reach the EU market and the MENA region. A unique selling point to us is that English is one of the official languages and the language for doing business. So expats will feel right at home when they're in Malta and settling in will be easy. I left lifestyle towards the end of my presentation, but really it underpins what we Maltese are all about. With more than 300 days of glorious sunshine and blue skies, clean and warm seas, lovely sandy beaches and short distances, we live an outdoor life and frequently dine al fresco. As Mediterraneans, we love our food and drink, and family outings usually revolve around some or much of this. We have a rich culture, which we have inherited from our forefathers, and from all those who have chose to colonize Malta because of its strategic position in the crossroads between Europe, the Middle East, and North Africa. From Neolithic temples that are the oldest in the world, spanning the impressive military architecture of the Knights of St. John and the more recent impact of the British Empire. Our islands have been described as an open-air museum. Our capital city, Valletta, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. How can you enjoy all this permanently? We offer a pathway to permanent residence through the Malta Permanent Residence Program. Our program is straightforward, with a highly competitive entry price point and open to 4 generations, making the family relocation easy. What can our program offer you more than others? Permanent residency from day one. We are one of the few programs, if not the only program that offers this. Fast processing. We are promising a 4 to 6 month processing time from the submission of a complete and correct application and the option to rent a property rather than buy. This is an excellent option for those families who would like to explore the island before making a commitment in the longer term. And if a purchase is made, this is surely to be a solid investment. The possibility of adding dependents after residency is granted. A very competitive price, giving excellent value for money. Straightforward and efficient process. Residency Malta is at your disposal. For those of you in the audience who might also be considering a period of time working remotely, we have just launched a nomad residence permit that will allow location-independent individuals work remotely from Malta, initially for a year with the possibility of renewal. With the increase of remote working post-COVID, we are seeing this market boom, and Malta is ready to welcome digital nomads in our midst. What I can promise you up front is an excellent service and a future replete with opportunities in my country, Malta.
Thanks. So this was Malta for you. If anybody in the attendee has any questions, you can put in the chat box. We will be able to get back to you on this through Mr. Charles or from His Excellency. So now from Malta, we go to UK real estate. So just to give you a bit that UK, apart from the land border with the Irish Republic, the United Kingdom is surrounded by sea. To the south of England and between the United Kingdom and France is the English Channel. The North Sea lies to the east, to the west of Wales and Northern England, and to southeast of Northern Ireland. The Irish Sea separates Great Britain from Ireland, while southwestern England, the northwestern coast of Northern Ireland, and western Scotland face the Atlantic Ocean. At its widest, the United Kingdom is 300 miles, roughly 500 kilometers across. From the northern tip of Scotland to the southern coast of England, it is about 600 miles, which is 1,000 kilometers approximately. No part is more than 75 miles, which is 120 kilometers from the sea. The capital, London, is situated on the tidal river Thames in southeastern England. And we have Mr. Sushant Ohri, the business development from Benham and Hees. So just to give you a bit about Sushantji, with a master's degree in international business gained from the University of Startlet, UK, and an MBA from his studies in India, Sushant has over 10 years international business experience in real estate markets across the UAE, India, and South Africa. As business development manager for Benham and Reeves Delhi region, Sushant has broad experience of business development in emerging real estate markets with expertise gained managing HNI portfolios in varied asset classes and challenging world economics. He has also managed international portfolios for investor clients in GCC regions and has worked with key property developers such as MR and DEMAC. Being an extrovert, Sushant enjoys interacting with people and building enduring business relationships. An avid traveler, he loves to explore new locations and try out different cuisines. He's also a keen sports enthusiast and movie buff. So over to you, Mr. Sushant.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Naveen, for such a brilliant introduction. Thank you, PhD Chamber of Commerce. It's a privilege to stand out here and explain the part of my organization on behalf of UK Real Estate, as well as to share the dais with the esteemed guests as well on behalf of Benham & Reeves, UK. I know we have great ties with UK. Reason being, obviously, we share a cultural thing back from the Indian days. But we need to understand when it comes to real estate, the market is interesting to everybody, but there are a lot of people who don't know how to get into those markets. And that is what at Benham & Reeves, we back in India, we are trying to do expansion of business development in areas where we can make sure that our investors, especially the HNIs, do not face any hassles across the globe to the real estate markets. Giving a background about my company, Benham & Reeves, we are a 64-year-old organization. We started our journey in 1958 into UK. We have 19 offices out there, as well as we have 7 offices in Southeast Asia. We share 2 offices now back in India, in Delhi and Mumbai. I head the Mumbai region, and there's a counterpart who does in Mumbai. The idea is pretty simple, that when it comes to real estate in UK, we're looking at numbers. Numbers to the tune of what is the market size of UK. We're looking at close to a 30 billion euros as a market size of UK. And why are investors reluctant to know much about the real estate? It is one of the second largest contributors to the UK economy. And it's always an understated fact that real estate has been ignored as a sector which is a little unorganized. But when it comes to investments, it is one of the most favored sectors. If you see predominantly, if considering a UK real estate journey, an average market size was what, £20,000 in 1978. And in a span of 40 years, we're looking at an average market size of a residential area around £456,000. So the growth is immense, as you can vouch for yourself. A 40-year, as they say, as investments, you just keep it and you enjoy the reaps and benefits. The only strongest market which is giving the return to the tune of real estate would be the equity markets. But has the equity markets outperformed? In UK, no, they haven't. In India, yes, they might be. But when it comes to UK, I think the property markets has phenomenally performed well. If you see traditionally, if we look at business point of view, UK has always been a partner in crisis. Recent visit for UK to India, Mr. Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister of UK, he expelled that India and UK have a great strategic partnership, and we will grow alongside with it. When it comes to commercial real estate, we have revenues of 2020 to a tune of $1.1 billion as a commercial real estate transaction. Yes, we had a dull period for the Brett exit from 2016 to 2020. But as a CAGR, we still have a growth increase of 1.3%. Into real estate markets, we are expecting a 5% increase in next 5 years as a whole market size growth. So if you're looking at those levels where you are actually looking at a 5x, I would say that we advise investors where to put money, where to take care of your portfolios, where to take care of your HNIs. Real estate is one of the passions what we drive at Benham & Reeves. Not only we take care of a portfolio of investors, but we do manage their portfolio for a longer term. We've been doing that since 40 to 45 years, and 60% of our investors are like our portfolios basically managed through us. So we don't need any outsourcing, or we don't need anything which is prominently there. Coming to a larger picture, why UK? traditionally, if you look at anybody sending their kids, it has to be US or UK. That has been always the answer. And UK has all the right tick boxes for our educational institutes, for your graduations, from your post graduations. It's still a dream home for investors to live by, whether it be a holiday home. It still has a commercial market which has a potential to outgrow any value size of investments. It has the right business sense. It's one of the only 3 global markets where you're looking at trade volumes predominantly way higher than any of the markets in Europe. We also have a stable pound variation, which compared to vis-a-vis to other euro currencies or something, have always been good in terms of their potential increase. We have always looked at a 4 to 5% increase over a period of span of time compared to any of the Eurozone investments. So these are the things which make not only UK as a commercial hub investment as well as an investment take, but real estate as a market. We always look at a long-term potential, and we are advising our clients in that way forward, that this is how we look forward. So all in all, I would say that as a forum like PhD Chamber of Commerce, we always urge people to be vigilant of the investment size, and we would be the ones which look into investing and advising the way forward in a manner where we look at their value size increase for a long-term basis. And thank you, PhD Chamber of Commerce, for giving us an opportunity and discuss the UK size market. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sushantji, for this overview. And I would request the dignitaries on the dais if we can come off the dais so that the further session we can have from there. Everybody can see from there, because most of them are now joining us virtually from there. I request the team if you can just remove the chairs. So now we have another session for UK. Mr. Sheldon Loboshinsky, Head of Global Citizenship, Chesterton Global, would be our next presenter. So just to give you a brief about Mr. Sheldon. Sheldon is a member of the Investment Migration Council and has over 12 years of experience in the migration and financial sectors. Having specialized in UK tax and settlement for a decade, he obtained his OISC UK migration clearance during this time. After successfully establishing a UK investment migration and entry clearance firm in South Africa, he then joined the Henley and Partners management team. Sheldon spent a year in Malta aligned with a former government body official, establishing framework and legislation for the Malta-based advisory. A move to Dubai then followed, where he spent time advising several well-established RCBI firms to establish a foothold in both the Middle East and Africa. With more than a decade spent in the residence, citizenship and immigration sector, he is well positioned to help drive the Chesterton's Global Citizenship Unit forward. So I invite Mr. Sheldon for his presentation, please.
Hello, everybody. I hope you can hear me okay. Thank you very much for the introduction. And to those in attendance, thank you very much for your time. I'm going to try and share my screen with you. So I hope you can all see that. Yeah, as mentioned, I am the head of global citizenship at Chesterton's Global. I'm speaking to you from our head office, our global headquarters in Dubai. A little background on Chesterton's: we've been around for over 200 years. We have more than 40 offices around the globe. Our global citizenship team, which I now head up, is currently based in Dubai, but we have, as I said, it's a UK-based firm. So today I'll speak to you about UK immigration specifically. The sector around UK immigration has changed quite a bit over the last 18 months. Some of you may have seen the Tier 1 investor being abolished, or the investor visa, the old £2 million route being abolished. Some of the categories have also changed as recently as the 11th of April. We've seen some of the business investment options change quite drastically. So we'll be focusing, or I'll be focusing today on a UK business expansion visa. That category was introduced literally on the 11th of April, and we'll be having a look at that category. As you may or may not know, having spoke about UK real estate just prior to me speaking, unlike other residence or citizenship by investment options, there's no attachment to the purchase of UK real estate, which grants investors the residence outright. So we do a lot of UK real estate, a lot of work for those purchasing real estate in the UK, and we help with fairly uniquely structured business options to get residence in the UK for main applicants and family. So let's have a quick look at this. As I mentioned at the beginning of my talk, there have been several changes in the UK, specifically regarding entry clearance. That was changed as recently as the 11th of April. There's been 5 new categories that have been introduced in the UK. They've ring-fenced those categories under the global business mobility sector. So we'll be specifically focusing on one of those sectors, which is under the global business mobility sector, which is essentially the business expansion visa in the UK. So a lot of our Indian clients would previously have applied for the representative of an overseas business visa, otherwise known as the UK sole representative. It essentially would allow non-majority shareholders to start up business in the UK and gain an initial 3 years of residence for them and their dependent spouse or children. This new category allows business owners, executives, or key management to relocate to the UK with the intention of starting a UK branch or subsidiary of a business which has existed outside of the UK for a minimum period of 3 years. Now, one of the key factors for this category is previously you couldn't apply if you were a majority shareholder of the non-UK business. Now, the key thing is you can actually apply as a majority shareholder. You no longer are required to dilute those shares prior to applying for that business category. So some of the key points around the new category is that you have to have worked or have owned or have functioned within that non-UK business entity for at least 12 months prior to you applying in the UK. We often get asked how that's proved. Largely that's done through pay slips or employment contracts or bank statements corresponding with pay slips. We need to show that your future earnings in the UK in the first 12 months meet the minimum income threshold of £42,400 annually. You don't have to have earned that in the 12 months prior to applying. We need to show that your future forecast earnings in the UK meet that minimum threshold. As I said earlier, we need to show that you've worked for that business for 12 months. The initial residence permit is granted for 12 months with a further 12-month extension applicable in the UK. You can add, as the main applicant, you can add both your spouse or unmarried partner to the visa. So they would get the same amount of residence as you do, and children under the age of 18. The key there is that the dependent spouse has access to work freely in the UK. They are not attached to that business, and children can obviously attend school freely, and all family members, including dependents, have access to NHS when in the UK. How do we assist at Chesterton? So we assist with the entire process. We've essentially taken over 200 pages of new legislation and funneled that into a process to make this new category as easy to navigate with our attorneys for our clients. So essentially, before we even look at the visa category or apply for that, there's quite a bit of heavy lifting around the certificate of sponsorship and license registration. Not only do we apply for the actual residence card for our applicants, we assist with the sponsorship license, the certificate of sponsorship granting, the visa granting, the extension, and the license upgrade to apply for your 3 years of residence after the initial 2 years, leading to indefinite leave to remain, and thereafter citizenship, if the required residence is actually met over that initial 5-year period. So just to summarize that, we essentially assist with the entire process. So none of it is outsourced. Our Chesterton's OSIC regulated team will guide you from business sponsorship through to the granting of your initial 12 months of residence, through to getting your dependents attached and actually the relocation period. So as I said, I'll touch on it again just to be clear. It's initial 12 months that's granted for the visa. You then extend for a further year from within the UK. After that initial 2-year period, we assist with the upgrade of your UK business license. That then allows you to apply for your skilled worker permit, which gives you a further 3 years of residence, after which we can look to apply for ILR or UK permanent residence, and thereafter naturalization. Another key point we need to mention here is that although there's not a minimum threshold which you need to show in your business or that you have to actually forecast, we also assist with a full business plan against the required legislation to try and eliminate any risk of refusal prior to submission. So that's the new category. We thought we'd focus on that specifically. You can get in touch with myself or my team anytime. I do appreciate your time this afternoon, and I look forward to chatting to you further. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me? Sheldon, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much. It was a wonderful presentation. And I would request anybody, if they have any questions, to kindly put in the chat box, because we have limited time and I think we will move to the next session. But thank you so much, Sheldon. And we really hope that we can work more closely in future. And we are coming up with few more editions of Grace in different cities, which are unexplored and quite potential. And we would need your support to and your guidance to take things forward from there.
Myself and my team are always at your disposal. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Take care. Great. So moving forward, we have the session for Portugal. But before that, I would like to announce that we have associated with II USA, Invest in USA, for doing roadshows in 4 cities, Delhi, Mumbai, Hyderabad, and Bangalore. So I would just give you a small glimpse of the new EB5 program, which has been restructured and been approved by the government as well. So request you to kindly play the video.
EB5. What is it? What are the benefits? Let's break it down. EB5 is an immigrant investor visa program that allows capital to flow from private investors across the globe into the US economy. In exchange, these qualified individuals can apply for permanent residence in the USA. Where does the money go? It goes directly into the economy. Hotels, real estate, schools, hospitals, infrastructure, grocery stores, and a lot more. The investments must be made into a new commercial enterprise and be at risk by law. The total funding is at least $1,050,000 or $800,000 if the investment is in a targeted employment area, or TEA for short. Its TEAs are either rural or suffer from high unemployment and are in special need of economic assistance. Funding a project can be made in 2 ways: direct investment or through an EB5 regional center. The latter is usually more attractive because the 10-job requirement can be fulfilled through direct, indirect, or induced jobs, or a combination of the 3. There's a bigger window for capital and no limitations on the number of EB5 applicants who can invest in one project, so long as the business plan has been approved by U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, or USCIS in short. Let's talk numbers. According to IIUSA's latest economic impact report, between federal fiscal year 2014 and 2015, EB5 contributed nearly $11 billion in capital investment, over 355,000 jobs created or supported, over $55 billion in economic growth, over $23 billion in labor income for the U.S. workers. To sum it all up, EB5 promotes foreign investment to improve U.S. neighborhoods and create American jobs. In return, it provides an opportunity for permanent residency, all at no cost to the U.S. taxpayer. Seems fair, right? Sounds like both sides really benefit from such a program. Now that we know what it is, let's talk about what it isn't. EB5 is not a purchase of American citizenship, and in no way guarantees a green card, residency, or citizenship. It is not a way to bypass the U.S. government's security and defense. In fact, the EB5 vetting process is one of the most elaborate of all visa categories. Just so we are all on the same page, it is highly beneficial to all parties involved and also safely managed. There is a lot of information and processes regarding EB5. You don't need to browse the internet or seek out answers from the government. IIUSA is the hub for all things EB5. IIUSA, or Invest in the USA, is a nonprofit membership-based trade association and EB5 advocate dedicated to the EB5 Regional Center program and its many benefits. The mission is to improve the program, educate those who do not know of EB5, and stimulate economic development throughout the country. IIUSA is the unifying voice for EB5 regional centers. It is a source for vital information, including statistics, history, maps, and success stories. They also have a magazine, the Regional Center Business Journal, which gives readers in-depth updates, analyses, and perspectives on the industry's most pertinent and pressing topics. The nonprofit works closely with Congress to ensure the program's continuance and hopeful permanence. IIUSA members include EB5 regional centers, law firms, financial services, foreign intermediaries, and more. You can apply for membership online and become a part of the community. IIUSA also hosts events around the globe that promote networking, education, and business development opportunities for EB5 stakeholders. For over 30 years, the EB5 program has helped build America. Since 2005, IIUSA has been pivotal in the program's success. We've only just scratched the surface. To learn more, apply for membership, or see real-life success stories, go to iiusa.org.
Thank you once again. So we are doing 4 series of events, as I mentioned. 24th of May it's in Delhi at PhD House. 28th of May we are doing at the St. Regis Mumbai. 1st of June we are doing in Hyderabad at the ICT Kohinoor, and then we are doing at the Conrad Bangalore on the 3rd of June. So I would request all our participants who have joined us physically as well as virtually to kindly attend those the sessions, interesting sessions, because we have a huge delegation coming from IIUSA who's going to talk about the EB5 program. Interestingly, we have the other upcoming session for the Portugal as a geography as such. And before we proceed for that, I think I'll just give you a quick brief about Portugal. Portugal is Europe's watermost country, situated on the Iberian Peninsula and bordering Spain in the European Union, officially known the República Portuguesa. It is member of Europe's Schengen area and use euro as its currency. One of the oldest in Europe, Portugal was founded in 868. In the 15th and the 16th century, Portugal established the first global empire, thus becoming an economic and political powerhouse. During this period, often referred to as the Age of Discovery, Portuguese explorers like Bartolomeu Dias became the first European to sail around the Cape of Good Hope, and Vasco da Gama discovered a sea route to India, thus establishing Portugal as one of the major naval powers. Today, Portugal is one of the safest countries in the world, is a developed economy, and has a high living standard. It ranks 2nd in the World Index of Moral Freedom, 3rd in the Global Peace Index, and 12th in the Press Freedom Index. A member of United Nations and European Union, Portugal was also one of the founding members of NATO, the Eurozone, and OECD. Its capital is Lisbon and has a population of just over 10 million as of July 2019. While the official language is Portuguese, English is widely spoken in the capital and beyond. So this is a small brief about Portugal before we can actually enter to the session. So in fact, Portugal has been one of the most preferred nations for investment. So it's going to give a tough time to all our speakers because everybody is talking about program of different geographies as such. So moving on, for this particular session, we have 3 panelists, starting with Mr. Paresh Karia, CEO of Equest Advisors. Mr. Paresh Karia is a chartered accountant with a rich experience of over 20 years across banking, investment, advisory, real estate, immigration. He has worked with reputed organizations like HDFC, ICICI Bank, ABN AMRO Bank at senior levels in the areas of investment, advisory, and private banking. Paresh is a thought leader and has been a regular panelist on TV shows on reputed channels like CNBC and NDTV. He has also written at leading publications and portals like the Times of India, Forbes, moneycontrol.com, and Bloomberg Quint, etc. Welcome, Mr. Paresh Karia. Moving on, we have Ms. Shalini Lamba, Chief Executive India, Migrate World. Shalini has over 35 years of experience in international and domestic market as well as startup, and has established credentials as a leader in aviation and travel industry. While her key areas of work has been with aviation, travel and tourism industry, she has also worked in the e-commerce with diverse roles, excelling in strategic planning, project launches, brand management, brand development, and setting up of operations. Her last position in the aviation industry was Commercial Head India for SAS. Post that, she was Director of India and VP Sales and Marketing Southeast Asia for Indian subsidiary of Omento Inc., an American e-commerce company, where she has spent 5 years setting up the operations in India and SEA. Currently, she is the Chief Executive for India at Migrate World and heading the Indian market. Welcome, Ms. Shalini. Moving on, we have Mr. Rahim Lakhani, President and CEO from the Lakhani Group. The Lakhani Group is a real estate investment and service focused family office dedicated to create value and income for themselves. Today, Lakhani is proudly Quinta da Forte, Velo, and 7X investment funds are Golden Visa Immigration Investment Solutions. In doing so, please allow me to introduce Mr. Rahim Lakhani, the President of Lakhani Group itself. Welcome, Mr. Lakhani. So I think we can start with the session, and the session will be moderated by Mr. Paresh Karya. Over to you, Mr. Karya.
Yeah, thank you, Mayank, for that wonderful introduction and background to Portugal and setting the tempo for this discussion. Hi, Shalini. Hi, Rahim. Welcome to this discussion. Right. So we have been hearing a lot about the Golden Visa programs. You know, there are so many countries offering Golden Visa programs in Europe as well as outside Europe. But suddenly Portugal seems to be the flavor of the season. You know, over the last 1 year, we have seen everybody is talking about Portugal Golden Visa. And Shalini, if you can explain to us why Portugal Golden Visa is getting so popular.
Yes, of course. Thank you for that. Thank you, Mayank, for the wonderful introduction, and hello to all the panelists. Good to be sharing this platform with you, Paresh, and with Rahim. Well, you know, the main thing about the Portuguese Golden Visa is that it's the fastest path to a European Union citizenship. It's actually one of the most popular residence by investment programs globally. And while it started in 2012, more than 10,000 applicants have received their Golden Visa over the last so many years. The best thing about this is, you know, Paresh, the requirements are clear and simple. You need to make an investment and apply. And normally within a year, you get your residence permit card. Just to share a little with you about Migrate World. Migrate World, we handhold all our clients and assist them right through the process. We have our offices in all the big metros in India and senior consultants span India. We also have our offices and our associates all over Europe and in all the countries that we deal with. So it makes it easier for us to be able to, you know, service our clients right through till they get their permit, their residence card. Well, actually in Portugal, Paresh, there are relatively affordable investment options. And the fact that you need to spend only a minimum of 7 days in Portugal is very attractive for people who can carry on with what they're doing while they're waiting for their passport. Of course, this residence permit gives you visa-free access to all the 26 Schengen states, making freedom of movement, opening up business offices, etc., much easier. And within 5 years, you can then go in and become a Portuguese citizen. Portugal, of course, to carry on gives you many tax advantages. And like Mayank mentioned, it's a safe, secure, affordable country with a high quality of life, solid infrastructure, and the climate, well, I think an excellent retirement option, one that I'm looking at, because when I think of Portugal, it comes to sea, sand, sunshine, and serenity. And of course, the fact that I can take all my family members with me. You know, once you make the qualifying investment, this, your spouse, your children, your dependent parents, for both you and your spouse, everybody can accompany you there and reap, and can actually also reap the benefits of being a resident there. So all in all, it's a fabulous package. Over to you, Paresh.
Yeah, wonderful, Shalini. I think there are a lot of people who are looking at enjoying a retired life in Portugal, along with sun and sand, and of course the marina and casinos. And not to forget the golfing over there, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So now we are looking at numbers, you know, if we can share, if we look at the recent trends, Shalini, earlier we used to see like any other program, Chinese were the main nationals who were applying for the, you know, who would take majority lion's share in any kind of immigration program. However, we are seeing a the recent trends show that there is a change. A lot of Americans have now started looking at Portugal Golden Visa. And of course, Indians are fast catching up. If you see the latest numbers, there are a lot of Indians also who are now taking up Portugal Golden Visa. So can you tell us the reason behind this? Why are Americans so keen on moving to Portugal?
Absolutely, Paresh. It's crazy, but for the last year and a half, the number of applicants for America has really risen sharply. And in fact, now they are accounting for nearly 20% of the investor nationality so far this year, And China, who has historically been the highest, is at 16%. So there is a trend, there is a change that is happening. And while the top 4 source countries in the past, other than, China, have been Brazil, Turkey, Russia, and South Africa, this year, along with the Americans, we see a large number of Indians soon reaching this top 5 bracket. In fact, I remember reading an article last year, late last year, which named the top 5 upcoming countries as India, Russia, and South Africa, other than the US and China. And that's amazing. And we at Migrate World have seen literally a 40% increase in the number of clients that we have who are now asking for a Portuguese residence and of course wanting to go on to citizenship. And rightly so, Paresh, looking at the worldly affairs today, I think a plan B is important to ensure safety, security, and well-being of your family members. Portugal gives you a very welcome, it's a very welcoming country for foreigners. And of course, like I said, with the relatively low cost of living, it makes for a great second residence. Additionally, the fact that you can earn on your investments, and you know how we are very particular in India about our investments giving us back. So when you can earn on your investments, and then once you obtain citizenship, you're free to sell your property to live anywhere of your choice. Adds on to this Portugal being a fabulous, fabulous program for literally everybody, including Americans and Indians. And of course, English speaking with a fabulous climate leads to the attraction. And India, it's closer home. It's right between, it's much, much closer home than US or Canada, which have been the preferred choices for Indians in the past. And then we've had affiliations with Portugal historically through the state of Goa, which was a Portuguese colony. Mayank just shared that. And I also believe the current Prime Minister is of Indian descent. So all this makes for a very, very good relationship. And I think business owners can, choose to expand their business to Portugal, as it's been ranked as one of the best countries to do business, with one of the highest GDP rates over the last 40 years. And the tax benefits, I'm not a tax expert, but I do believe that Portugal offers many tax benefits for foreign-owned real estate owners, as well as through the non-habitual residency tax program. So I guess I hope that clears and clarifies why a lot of people, including Americans and Indians, are today applying for the Portugal Golden Visa. Thank you, Paresh.
Right. So we can see that there are numerous benefits, of Portugal Golden Visa. And one of the benefits is that it's quite easy. You just need to make investment in real estate. So Rahim, can you just tell us what are the requirements for the investment? Where do we need to invest?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Paresh and Shalini, for taking this stage, and especially Dr. Shalini to bring it up to the knowledge of the folks listening and tuning in, and explaining it so very well on the advantages. Before I begin, I should say that today is actually the Freedom Day in Portugal. I am currently in Lisbon, so I'm talking live from there. And today is the Freedom Day, 25 de Abril, and the end of the revolution and the beginning of democracy. So PhD couldn't have chosen a better day to host, this kind of platform. And we talk about Portugal and the Indian relationships. So it's actually very, very exhilarating to speak about these. Just a small little background about us before I jog on to your question is we are a real estate development family office, originally from Hyderabad, and we've done quite a number of developments out there. I am a Canadian and lived in Canada for many years. and we have developments out there and in the United States as well. So basically, the family office has a very wide international exposure in terms of real estate and development. And over the last 4 years, we've chosen Portugal as our destination to establish and grow, because from an entrepreneurial perspective, from a business perspective, also, in addition to the migration perspective, it makes a lot of sense. From the people who have migrated to the United States and in Canada, let's say about 30 years ago, have actually, the wiser ones who made it out there. When they visited Portugal, they've basically advised us that this is the land of opportunity here today and now. And I think that brings in a very interesting dynamics and a competition to the US. In fact, a lot of our investors have and are in the process of giving up their American passports to receive the European passports. So it is quite the thing that it's at the end of the day it's a round world. So going on to the question that Dr. Paresh asked is about the investment. So we are actually developing a beautiful resort within Lisbon boundaries. Called Quinta do Forte Velho. I'm happy to share all the details available to you. We are developing luxury brand new villas in the heart of Lisbon. Now, a lot of people will be like, okay, well, Lisbon is out of the Golden Visa program, but it is not true at all. The residential part is gone, but the commercial part still stays. So if you purchase a brand new villa within our condominium, you will be eligible for the Golden Visa because of the fact that it has a touristic license and a commercial operating license. So those projects are still available and accessible for the Golden Visa piece. Now, of course, if you do not wish to hold a real estate physical, you can also invest in our fund called 7X. And that is a venture capital fund, but also invests in the real estate projects like our Quinta project. And that is also eligible for your Golden Visa. The best part about the investment fund is that there is 0% capital gains for the investor when they exit from the fund. And Portugal, when you get down to it, when you do a deep dive, you will see that in many ways it's a tax-heavy country, especially when it comes to real estate. So there is a very good balance that you have between holding physical real estate assets and holding investment units inside the fund. The options are plenty. We offer the 500,000 and above Golden Visa projects. We have some in the pipeline for the 280 as well. So the projects are there. You can reach out to us. There are several options depending on your particular need, but there is something for everyone. Absolutely.
Just for the benefit of our listeners, I would like to say that, there have been some changes in the investment, program for the Portugal Golden Visa beginning January 22. Earlier, there were 3 options for investments. You could invest 100,000 in any property in any part of Portugal. Then you had another investment option of investing 350,000. This was to be in old property, which is more than 30 years old and which is going for redevelopment. And then you had another option of investing 280,000 again in old property, more than 30 years old, going for redevelopment, but located in a low density area, typically, in an interior area or a rural area. From January 22, there have been some changes in this. And the changes are essentially you cannot invest in residential properties in certain areas. These are primarily, Lisbon, Porto, Algarve, and most of the coastal areas, which were earlier very popular with the investors. However, in case of this, there are you can still invest in a commercial property in Lisbon, Porto, or any part of Portugal. The restrictions which are come into force from 1st January 22 only apply to residential properties. Right. So in this case, in case of, Lakhani Group, the property which they are offering, although it is a villa, it is classified, I believe. Can you explain that, Rahim? How do we, How is it classified and how is it?
Absolutely. So the idea behind that is we really have about 3 options when you purchase a villa. So you can actually come as an owner. You are allowed to come and stay and live in the villa 365 days of the year. So there is no restriction from a owner staying perspective. We also have the ability to have between 3 and 6% guaranteed yields from day one of the operations. So that is something that is appealing, especially when you are out in India. You don't really understand, what are the local laws of rentability, what are the local laws of having a staff, and you don't really want to be bothered because you have a high value business that is already operating in India. So we are basically your all-in-one service, so to speak, your property management service as well to manage these properties for you. So really, this is kind of a turnkey project for you. This is no timeshare. This is not, you're not buying a percentage unit. These properties are completely freehold properties. This will be registered in your personal names or a company name if you wish so. And the returns will be given to you, in your personal bank accounts as well. So there is no restriction on it. There is no restriction on selling the property. If you wish to sell the property also at any point in time, you can get a mortgage against the property if that is what you wish. So really, this is exactly like a residential property, except in a touristic condominium. The only restriction between a commercial and residential real estate is that, let's say you decide to rent it out, and if you don't want to live there, you decide to rent it out, then you must go through the management company. That's literally the only restriction, which is exactly what you would want, because you don't want yourself to manage and deal with people kind of coming in and out of the property, right? So this is actually a benefit to you. So we have those guaranteed yield programs as well. And we also have the variable yield programs. If you don't want a guarantee, and if you actually want to get what is on the market, we're totally welcome to do so. In any of the case, when you are applying for the golden visa, like Shalini mentioned, you must stay in the country 7 days per year. And the villas are open for you for those 7 days of the year for no extra charge. Okay, so you come, you spend your 7 days, you fulfill your 35 days over the 5-year period, and you get your Portuguese citizenship. So there is no extra added cost to you when you do arrive. Okay, so yeah, these are essentially the 3 options where you can benefit.
Right. Now, Shalini, talking about the 7 days, this seems to be the USP of the Portugal Golden Visa program, and that is what differentiates it from other programs. So can you please elaborate on this?
Yeah, the whole objective is to ensure that the person gets to know a little about the culture, a little about what Portugal is all about. And eventually, when you're going for citizenship, Paresh, you are required to go through an A2 exam. And it's mandatory that you go through this exam, which is just rudimentary. And you just need to know the basics about certain words and certain sentences. Portugal likes people to come there and live with them there. They want you to know the culture. Hence, a 7-day a year, or if in 2 years you can do 14 years, or like Rahim just mentioned, in 5 years, 35 days. This is what is required for you to come in and stay. There is no other requirement. And in these 7 days, you can stay anywhere in Portugal. It's not that you can be restricted to a particular city. And I think this makes Portugal anyway, makes for a fabulous tourist holiday. And I see a lot of Indians from here going to Portugal to explore the option. And I see a lot of my clients now looking forward to this because they do want to carry on with the businesses in India. They don't want to break. They don't want to be able to, suddenly have a shift where they have to change from one country to another. And hence the 7 days gives them the freedom to be able to work out their whole process, the businesses, their change in family status, children's education, everything can be worked out till the time they get their passport and their citizenship.
And the good thing about this entire thing is that only by spending 7 days a year, you can still become eligible for citizenship. Unlike many other countries, when people are looking at citizenship per se of countries, they want to move to, let's say, US, UK, or maybe Spain, Greece, etc., you are required to physically stay in that country for at least 50% of the time to become eligible for citizen. Whereas from what I'm gathering is that in case of Portugal, you need to spend only 7 days a year, which means you can continue to stay in your home country, visit Portugal just once for a holiday and still become eligible for citizenship, subject, of course, to the language test. But I think this makes it a fantastic backup plan. You know, you can plan, you can just invest in a property, continue with your normal life the way you are, and still create an option for you to take up a citizenship in a European country should the need arise.
Absolutely. Well said, Paresh. Totally.
In terms of the language, I'd like to point out that we actually have a partnership with a local language company that will do this all virtually. It is a very basic level of language course, so it's not, it's very, very easy if you, of course, pay attention. But it's not something that should ever really be a roadblock for anyone. And you can do this completely virtually and do the exam and everything very, very easily even before you come. Okay. So this is something that will help facilitate as well.
Absolutely, Rahim. To add on to that, we've had recently in the last couple of years, we've had a first lot of clients who've got their citizenship, and the response was that it was they flew through it. There was no issue. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So now, coming back to you, Rahim, we have been discussing about the property options. I think the Portugal real estate market has been doing quite well over the last few years. If you could just throw some light on that, on the real estate market, what has been the scene in the past, and also what is the outlook now, given the changes that have taken place?
For sure. So, over the last 10 years, since there was actually a property crisis, as we may all know, in 2008, starting at the US, and then, moving on to Europe in about 2011 and 12. And that was actually really the inception of the Golden Visa program as well. The properties did tank in the market, but since that time and since the time that the Golden Visa was introduced, there has been a huge influx of foreign investments into Portugal. As the statistics were very clear, you have the Chinese investment, you have the American investment, you have the Russian, you have the Turkish investment, the South African investment, the Brazilian investment. So over the last 10 years, the property market has been very, very strong. In fact, there was also, a huge injection of funds from the European Union as well, called Troika, that injected about 60 billion euros into the economy. And what that did was it went towards the building of the country and building of the infrastructure in the country and building of the roads and the highways and everything, the connectivity and the infrastructure and the IT. And I think what was Portugal, 10 years ago is completely different from what it is now. And hence why a lot of the American investments is now being attracted into the country. The property market has just been rising. Even during COVID, there were times when you were like, oh, you will find some amazing properties and at a lower price. It did not happen. Okay, absolutely did not happen. 5.5% property price went up during COVID, and even more so now. Now that the boundaries of like COVID crisis is kind of pretty much behind us. So there is a staggering demand. The one thing that we don't have in Portugal is the supply. We are not able to actually catch up with how many the developers are not able to actually catch up with the number of properties. So that only means that the demand will keep rising, from the global markets. Okay. So this is actually a great time. Now, on the reversal side, I'll pay very close attention and caution to when you are investing in the interior regions of Portugal. Okay. So even though the country is connected, very good in terms of its highways and roads and everything else, the interior regions of Portugal are not as developed as one would have hoped for. So the property prices haven't really gone up in the interior regions, or are not even scheduled to go up unless the Golden Visa piece makes that kind of difference. But if you remove the Golden Visa piece, let's think about it. Like, why does a property price go up? Because there is development into the city or the county or whatever, right? So Lisbon and Porto are the hubs where majority of the investments really go, and that's where the development comes, and that's where the infrastructure gets built. And, it makes sense to invest in Lisbon and Porto, even though if it's in a commercial nature like our villas, it makes sense because, what is important is not just getting into the property, but also thinking about your exit plan if you want to sell the property. This is not your backyard. This is not India where a whole host of people and you will sell. Like this is a different market. So I'll pay very much caution into where you are investing. There are projects that are being sold for 280, but really if you go right across the road and you look for another apartment that is for the 280, you'll see that there is huge difference between what you are buying for the golden visa piece versus what is actually in the market. Okay, so I'd pay great caution to it. So not all real estate investments have grown at the same pace. Lisbon and Porto, for sure has that kind of credibility, but I'll play very great caution to investing outside of these regions.
Right. So Shalini, coming back to you, see, we have a lot of clients from India who want to migrate outside, and they would also like to take their parents. And unfortunately, when we talk about other countries, that is not possible. But I think with Portugal, that is possible, right? So,
yeah, Paresh. Sorry, what is extremely interesting about Portugal is that they really believe in keeping the family together. And along with the main applicant and the spouse, the dependent parents of both the spouse as well as yourself, provided they're over 55 years of age, can accompany you. Along with that, they also allow children up to 18 years and dependent children up to 26 years, provided they are single and enrolled in an education system. So basically, you just need to prove that they are dependent on you. And this makes for a fabulous, even in India, we are however we may have advanced, we're still very close to our family members. Hence, it is so attractive for an Indian to be able to go with baggage as well as parents, the whole family, and settle down there. It makes it easier to live in a new country. It makes it easier when you have support. All these things make so much of a difference. So yes, like we discussed at the beginning, Portugal is a fabulous opportunity for a residence permit leading on to a European Union citizenship for the whole family. The whole family can actually then get the advantages of living in a European Union system where you have access to opening bank accounts, to schools for your children, for excellent healthcare systems, for ensuring that you're able to get the freedom to open offices where you want. So can you imagine the benefits for the children as they're growing up? Now, as we know, the world is getting smaller, and the idea is to become a global citizen and not remain away from all the benefits that you can give to your family members.
Yeah, wonderful. Right. Just to mention over here, we know that, once you get the citizenship of Portugal, you become citizen of the entire European Union, which means that you can settle anywhere in any of these 27 European Union countries. And also your children can study in colleges and universities in any of these countries and get the education benefit. And more importantly, after your children complete their education in Europe, they will easily be able to find jobs over there. Currently, what has been happening is I'm learning it from some of my friends whose children are studying in Europe. After completing their education, they are finding it difficult to get a job over there because first preference is given to EU nationals. So for those of you who are planning to send your children to Europe for education, if they are young, time is to start planning now so that 5 years, 6 years down the road, they become citizen of Europe and they can easily find a job in Europe after completing their education.
Absolutely.
Right.
I should also highlight the fact when you compare the tuition fees for a European university versus like an American university, you're looking at a 10-fold increase. Okay. So this is quite staggering, actually. An engineering degree, a first-year engineering course is like 2,000 euros a year here. Like, it's ridiculous. Versus, Americans, the all of America is in student debt. So it is quite phenomenal, and these degrees are recognized pretty much internationally. So I don't see the need for really that much of, I mean, of course, in today's world, you can also do a master's or whatever if you really want a Harvard or a Yale kind of university, sure. But, from a bachelor's point of view, it makes no difference, honestly.
Actually, Rahim, the feel I'm getting from the market and from the clients whose children are actually wanting to go and settle down abroad and want to do their further education, realizing the fact that if they go in as a foreigner into a university or they want a job as a foreigner, rather than having a residence permit or being a resident or a citizen of the European Union countries, they are very smart. They are realizing the benefits that they have today. And most of them, surprisingly, are today looking at Europe.
Absolutely.
Because of the fact of the huge field that they have here, not just in Europe, but once you get a citizenship of Portugal, then 180 countries are available for you visa-free.
Yes.
So you pick up your passport and you go. There are no restrictions, literally, like I said, you become a global citizen. So I see the youngsters of today very, 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 very upbeat about Europe, and Portugal gives them a fabulous gateway into this life that they're looking at for themselves.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And talking about the passport, Shalini, we were surprised to find that Portuguese passport ranks ahead of passport of other countries, even US, UK, Canada, because if you look at US, Canada, they allow visa-free travel to about 174, 76 countries, whereas Portugal is more than 180 countries.
Yes, right. Paresh, it's today, I think the last, as per the last, World Passport Index, I think it's 5th now. It's the 5th most powerful. So it's been in the 5th, 6th for the last so many years, which is a fabulous track record.
Absolutely. And also when it comes to Portugal, we know that it is the 3rd most peaceful country in the world. We have been getting concerns. People are showing that troubles are there are some troubles in the Europe with the war. But war is happening right on the eastern part of Europe. When we look at Portugal, it's quiet at one side. And even during the World War I and World War II, Portugal was more or less neutral. It did not get participated. It was not affected by the war in any way. And especially when there is so much of turbulence in other parts of the world, Portugal makes a perfect safe haven for, people who are looking at a backup plan.
Absolutely. If you look at it geographically, Paresh, you're surrounded by the oceans on most of the side, and then you have your friendly Spanish neighbors on your left. And I think, yeah, you're absolutely right. It gives me, like I said, serenity. It's a peaceful, gives me a feel of being somewhere where I can be at peace. And yes, in today's global world, the way things are happening in the world, I think a plan B for Portugal makes sense.
Rahim, you have been staying in Portugal for past few years, right? So what is it like living in Portugal, especially for somebody, of Indian origin?
No, it's quite amazing. I spent, of course, my childhood in India in extreme hot, and then I spent the next 14 years in Canada in extreme cold. So I'm glad to be at a neutral temperature now. So it is fabulous. The people here makes the huge difference. I'll be very honest with you. And wherever you go, it's never about actually, just the country itself or everything. The people makes the difference, and the Portuguese people are just fantastic people, very, very warm and welcoming. They don't have any kind of racial agenda whatsoever. So I think the choice of being in Portugal and, let's accept we are brown skinned and not accepted pretty much, like everywhere. And so there is that factor always in mind that we must have, and being here and, enjoying the lifestyle here. We have a staff of 40 people and about, 20 of them are Portuguese, and, the way that they interact and the way that they communicate, they have strong, deep-rooted family values. It just makes sense, man. It just makes sense.
Wonderful. So now coming back, we'll just take up, I think we are running out of time. I will just take up one question. Shalini, if you can briefly tell us what is the process, in terms of documentation, etc., and the timelines required for the Portugal Golden Visa?
So, as I shared earlier, it is a very easy process. Basically, you need to make your investment and then you need to apply for your visa. And in the process, it normally comes to you within a year. What is within this time, you're required to go once for your biometrics to Portugal. And what is very interesting about this program is that you invest first and then you apply, which makes it so much easier. You're already aware that you're probably going to get your golden visa within a year. And the investments have already been shared, I think, by you as well as by Rahim. So I'm not going to go into that. And it's an easy process. Documentation is very less. You just need to have your passport. You need to ensure that you're living in a non-EE, non-European Union, as well as a non-EEA, that is European Economic Area. You should be a non-Swiss national over 18 years. Of course, we know that Portugal is a country that looks at peace, and hence a clear criminal record becomes very important, both from India as well as Portugal. The applicant, of course, needs to make, as we mentioned, the qualifying investment, and the funds for the investment should arrive from outside of Portugal. Of course, if you intend staying in Portugal, then, medical insurance is a must. So there are very rudimentary documents that are required. We assist our clients to get into the right platform, to get onto the right investment, so that there's no hassle, like Rahim mentioned. A lot of due diligence is done onto our projects to ensure that they are able to get returns as well as their money back when they go in for a citizenship. And then it's a wait of probably about, I know that the last ones that I did took about 11 to 11 and a half months to get the residence permit.
All right. Thank you, Shalini. Thank you, Rahim. So friends, we can see that, because of quick and easy process, or lots of benefits, not only in Portugal, but in all over Europe, and a powerful passport that you get. Portugal Golden Visa is becoming increasingly popular, especially among Indians of late. Right now, if there are any questions, we shall be happy to take the same. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Paresh Karia. Thank you so much, Mr. Lakhani. Thank you so much, Ms. Shalini. I request everybody to give a big round of applause. I guess they have done an excellent job in discussing things in detail, specifically when it comes to Portugal. Interestingly, we have suddenly got a huge number of people joining this particular session. There are already around 290 people right now with us for the session to go with. So firstly, before moving forward, I would like to congratulate all our friends from Portugal on the Freedom Day. And thank you, Rahim, for making us aware of this and really congratulate from the bottom of our heart. Moving forward, this has been quite a common question, and we have received it once again, and this is again for Ms. Shalini. Is there a fast track option for citizenship for Portugal specifically?
Unfortunately, no. I would have taken it otherwise. You do need to be a permanent resident in Portugal for 5 years. You do need to go through the language exam and then get onto your citizenship or passport.
Great, thank you. There are plenty of questions, in fact, and we are going to take only 2 and 3. That's it, because of the proximity of time. So this question is for Rahim. Rahim, a gentleman has written, need to understand the ROI on real estate investments in Portugal.
Yeah, so the ROI is, of course, based on from project to project perspective, and if you are investing in the interior regions versus in the regions of coastal regions or within Lisbon boundaries, we have a guaranteed ROI program within our project, which is the Quinta project, about 15 minutes from the Lisbon airport. We offer between a 3 to 6% net yield on your investment over a period of 5 years, renewable after the 5 year is up as well. We also offer a buyback option if the client chooses to do so. We've sold, I said, 50% of our project, but not a single client has opted for the buyback, essentially because of the fact that these are strong properties and the returns and the appreciation of the assets are quite staggering. So it makes no sense to do it, but of course we'll offer it if you want a kind of a safety for your investment. So yeah, this is what is being offered by our project. Now, of course, you'll say that you can keep money in the bank in India and you'll get more, which is the truth. However, if you keep money in the bank here, you get 0%. Okay, so this is not like for like. The investments are also the ones that you are making are for immigration purposes. So not all money is also created equally. So you must think about this notion before making this investment.
Fantastic. I think you have explained in a very comprehensive manner, and I think the gentleman must have got the answer for his question too. Okay, moving forward, this question could be for everybody specifically. So it says, does Portugal have a government-approved investments and available financing options from bank?
So when you say government approved, what we have, as I mentioned, we have an investment fund called 7X. This is an authorized by CMVM, which is a Portuguese Securities Commission. And I must say we are really proud of this because we are the only non-Portuguese family office in Portugal currently that has this licensure. It took us a long time and a lot of interviews to get this licensure. So this is government monitored and authorized. We have supervisory boards that are actually in place from the government to make sure that the investments are put into the right place, and there are very regulated structures in place. So in a way, you can say, but the projects itself are not governed or managed by the government. Okay, so there is a difference. It's privately managed, but government supervised.
Fantastic, fantastic.
I would like to take up the second part of this question, Mayank. You know, we have been getting a lot of clients who have been asking us that they would like to borrow to invest overseas. Right now, one needs to be careful. While the international laws, laws of that country may allow you to borrow for the purpose of investment, the Indian laws do not allow an individual to borrow money and send it out of India. So one has to be careful. Even if one is planning to do that, it has to be structured through a business in a different way. So we cannot just, an individual cannot in his individual name borrow money and send it outside India. So one needs to be careful with that.
Fantastic. Ms. Shalini, you?
Yes, no, I totally agree with that. What happens is that under foreign exchange, you're not allowed to loan money outside. So you need to be very careful when you make your investments. And hence being here in India makes it very important for us, having our offices and our associates all over, that we can help and guide the people in their investments. We have a couple of funds which are government approved, exactly like Rahim shared. And so hence we help having our associates and offices in Portugal makes it easy for us to assist our clients to ensure that there is a due diligence that has been done on the fund and that the money remains as secure as possible, that they get returns and all the other points that are related with the venture capital funds are taken care of. So it's as secure an investment as one could make, but one needs to be careful. And one needs to come on a one-on-one and speak with us, and we would guide them as to how they can transfer their money outside and ensure that they make an investment based on government rules and regulations.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Paresh, Shalini, and Mr. Rahim. I think we will move to the next session, but thank you so much. And we really look forward to having you physically present with us. And hopefully there is no fourth wave coming to India as of now. So May is the month for us. We are starting with the International Week, starting from the 17th till the 20th, and 20th being the day for the ambassadors meet too. So thank you once again, and I really look forward to meeting you in person very soon.
Thank you, Mayank. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayank and the PhD.
Thank you, Rahim.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Moving forward, we have citizenship lane. Our friend Ms. Till Newman is here all the way from Switzerland. Before we move forward, I would like to give you a brief about Switzerland as well. Switzerland, federated country of Central Europe. Switzerland's administrative capital is Bern, while Lausanne serves as the judicial center. Switzerland may be the half of the size of Scotland, but its modest population gives little indication of the international significance. A landlocked country of towering mountains, deep alpines, lake, grassy valley, dotted with the neat farms and small villages and thriving cities that blend the old and the new Switzerlands in the nexus of the diverse physical and cultural geography of Western Europe, renowned for both its natural beauty and its way of life. Aspects of both have become bywords for the country, whose very name conjures image of glaciers, carved Alps, beloved of writers, artists, photographers, and outdoor sports enthusiasts from around the world. So this is just a brief about Switzerland. Now I will give you a brief about Mr. Till Newman. I am CM Managing Partner. The founder of Citizenship Lane, Till Newman is a former department head of Caribbean citizenship programs with Henley and Partners and internationally active consulting in Zurich. With his experience in the business and investment management and is passionate for law, Till started his own consulting firm to assist individuals wanting to invest, relocate, and live in a country where they can do business safely with fair and reliable legal system, one that offers a peaceful, comfortable life with their families and loved ones. I will request and welcome Till on stage once again, please. A big round of applause.
What a lovely introduction. What a lovely introduction. Pleasure to be here and talk about my country of residence, Switzerland, where I live for so many years now, since 2005, when I moved first to Switzerland. But I'm originally from Germany, and so I can really share the interest and passion for people to come to Switzerland, which I really love in my heart. It is a country for residents where it is not really easy to become a resident, because it is a very small country with a very developed industry already. Can we go to the presentation? Okay. Switzerland is very picturesque. Many people come there to for tourism and also do business. Switzerland, you know it from the industry, the big Swiss banking sector, and also the big pharma industries. So it is not easy because Switzerland doesn't really have an investment program like you have it in Portugal or the USA, where it is actively attracting business to come to Switzerland. But nevertheless, I will be talking later about this in detail. There are ways to get residency in Switzerland as well. But let me talk now first a few words about the country itself. Where do I point it here? Okay, let's do it manually. So I will just talk a few words about Switzerland, and then in general about doing business in Switzerland and the residency options in Switzerland, which are basically the lump sum taxation, which many people already know, which is a tax program where you can make a tax deal with the Swiss authorities, and another way would be a business investment. So let's go to the next slide. Continue. Okay, so Switzerland is actually one of the oldest democracies in Europe and probably the world, which is still in existence. The country started in 1291 with the foundation of the mountain region cantons forming together the Swiss Confederation, and they have been independently in a totally different Europe. You need to imagine that Switzerland is a mountain country, and right around Switzerland there were the hundreds of different states, literally that time hundreds of different states surrounding Europe, and they have been fighting with each other. We know that there have been so many wars in Europe until we finally got peace after the Second World War. But before that, it was not the best place to live. And the Swiss, they benefited from their mountain space. They retreated, they lived their life farmers, and they were actually very, very poor, and this until a very long time. They have been farmers, and then when the warlords on the kings and earls in Europe went to war, they went out and they went to fight for them, and they earned money as mercenaries to get and make their living in Switzerland as well, to be able to trade as well. Today we still see the Swiss Guard of the Pope in the Vatican, which is still sponsored by the Swiss Army today. And this is kind of the on-living tradition from that. The Swiss country, like we have it today, exists since 1848. Of course, before we had Napoleon, etc., etc. But the country, like we have it today, exists since 1848. And also the currency. We have the Swiss same, actually not very the exact same coin, the 5 franc coin, which in the past was made out of silver. Today it's just regular metal. And we still have the same currency in Switzerland since then. So there was never a monetary reform. And I think that is really impressive to see how that developed over the years until today. And still the Swiss currency never had any monetary reform. The country is very small, only 8.5 million people. That is not really comparable to India here. And I'm giving you this introduction of the history and also the size to have a better understanding of where, if you want to really live in Switzerland, where you're really going, where the journey goes. So let me talk a bit more about the economics now. So we already spoke a little bit about it, but small Switzerland has a GDP of $750 billion in 2020. That is 18th ranked worldwide, with a GDP per capita of 87,000, which is quite a lot for such a small country. Then one of the benefits, if you want to say, I mean, everybody was struggling in the COVID crisis in Switzerland as well. And in that crisis, Switzerland got along with a small cut of 2.5% in the GDP. Then a little bit about the distribution of workers. 70% of the workers work in the services industry. That is, of course, mainly the financial industry and the insurance industry, and of course everything else what is service related. In the industry we have 20%, so there's a strong high-tech industry in Switzerland, and only 2% in the agricultural industry. The next, please. Then I want to talk a bit about Switzerland as a research and development hub. Because that becomes later a bit more interesting and to think of. So there are world famous universities. Many people come to study there. Even from the US, many people come over to study at the Swiss institutions. Just to name them quickly, the ETH in Zurich, the University in Zurich, the EPFL in Lausanne, or the economics strong University of the HSG in St. Gallen. The next one. And then, of course, we know research and development companies like the big pharma companies, Novartis and Roche, and in the high-tech industry, ABB and Google. Okay, having all said this, have a look at the numbers here from the research and development increases. You will see that there is a lot of investment going on, and then even more increased interest in those industries of especially the biotechnology and the ICT industry. I'm pointing this especially out since later when we talk about the residence options, it is really important that we have this understanding of where we need to invest in Switzerland, because there's a lot of demand in Switzerland and a lot of research and development going on. So it is, as a developed country, really interested to attract even more of that. So the next one. So now talking, doing business in Switzerland, it's really easy to invest and do business in Switzerland. That is not a problem at all. It's very easy for businessmen. Dealing with authorities is very straightforward. You have everything available. Great infrastructure, no problems with electricity. Actually, the electricity in Switzerland comes to a very big part of water power. Hydropower makes about 50%, and another big share makes also nuclear power still in Switzerland. So it's already a very green grid what we have. With 120 double taxation treaties, it's also very interesting for hubs in Switzerland, for commercial hubs of or holding companies in Switzerland. So let's skip this one. So now let's come to the real topic. I mean, I have been talking now a bit about the how Switzerland is made up, what is really happening in Switzerland, because it's really important to understand that it's not easy to get in Switzerland a residence permit, because there is already a lot of demand. There is already a very developed industry. There's not really the demand for the investment income like in other countries where they really try to develop their industry themselves. Switzerland is already advanced. So let's maybe continue. Okay, this slide, the quality of life. Why do many people want to live in Switzerland? I mean, there are hundreds of reasons. I already mentioned a few of them. But I especially want to point out, of course, the healthcare system that is really top-notch, even for European and American standards, and the amazing food in the kitchen in Switzerland. Not only talking about the Swiss kitchen here, it's a lot of cheese. That's maybe not for everybody, but I love it. And the international cuisine, Switzerland as a melting pot of many countries is really amazing, and to find kitchens from everywhere at a very high standard, what you would expect from Switzerland. I invite everyone to come and see and discover themselves. So the next one, please. Now let's come to the final, what I want to talk about. There are actually two ways to get the citizenship, to residency in Switzerland. The first one is the lump sum taxation scheme, what Switzerland has. That basically is a tax deal, what you do with the authorities. It works in a very unbureaucratic way, where we discuss with the authorities and introduce our client, which needs to be, of course, of a noble background. And there we decide there a fictitious income, because there is not just a number decided on the income what an investor or new resident has to pay. It is determined on the standard of living. And that means depending on if you live in a big house, in a small house, if you fly in with your private jet or not, if you have 5 horses in a horse farm, or etc. These all matters are being taken into consideration to determine how much income you would need to have to support this kind of life, no matter what your wealth is or no matter what your actual income is. So they determine a fictitious income, and on that you pay your taxes in the canton where you will be living, in the village where you will be living. So the effective tax amount varies in Switzerland from the tax system given from village to village, from city to city, from canton to canton. In effective numbers, that means that there is nevertheless a minimum. So, and this depends a lot where you go. There are certain cantons where that amount is minimum 700,000. In other cantons, it's 1 million, and you have to pay, this is the fictitious income, and on that you pay income tax, which varies depending, of course, where you are. But in practice, it means you pay at least 400 to 500,000 in taxes per year. The advantage is here, of course, that it's a tax deal, so no one needs to make a tax declaration anymore. So for people who have very complicated tax situations, it is very easy to make the taxes in Switzerland because it's already predefined. There is no detailed tax return which needs to be filed every year, and the taxes are predetermined. So the resident already knows in advance what he will be paying next year and the year after and the year after. So that is really for some people a very good point. Also, of course, as a resident in Switzerland, you benefit from the Swiss banking secrecy, which many people think doesn't exist anymore. It is just a bit yeah, more like Swiss cheese today, with many holes through to the international pressure. But in Switzerland, it still stands. And that is also a very good, a big interest point of many people to move to Switzerland, because then, for example, their money, which is already in Switzerland, they just moved after their money and have no problems anymore, especially with this tax deal. But this is, of course, not something what everyone can afford. I'm still talking here about 500,000 in taxes. Many of our clients are entrepreneurs themselves who do business and need to do business and need to earn their money. But they want to also move to Switzerland. So what can be done there? Let's have a look at the next slide, where we talk about self-employment. So the Swiss law also allows a residence permit for self-employed people. That means you need to have the majority of a company, and your company needs to be beneficial to the economy. And now, please remember what I told you earlier about Switzerland. You can now imagine a country like Switzerland. They don't need an investment in a real estate of 500,000 in Zurich. I mean, you don't even get much for that, by the way. So that is not really what they are attracted in. What do they look for? They look for work permits, for workplaces, I mean. So a company needs to generate money, turnover, or invest in research and development to really bring a benefit to the country. And what that real benefit is can be very different. It really depends on the company. So I cannot give you easy answers here, like in many of the other residence programs which are around, because they have predetermined numbers and conditions. There it is very strict, and you see, okay, I qualify with that investment amount in this category, in that area, and then you get your permit in the end, if you qualify and your background is okay. In Switzerland, it really depends on the case. And this is similar to other countries around Switzerland, for example, Austria and Germany. They have similar routes to residency, but Switzerland being Switzerland, and there are the conditions just much higher. Let's have a look at the next slide. So what I already hinted at here, we see that it really needs to be having an economic benefit, and money needs to come in. So, but I think I spoke already about all of that. And important is really that there is a demand for that industry where somebody wants to invest. That means consequently an investment in a restaurant, opening a restaurant in Zurich will very likely not get you a residence permit. But there might be a case where we can make one. That means, let's talk about that maybe in a one-to-one, but I can imagine scenarios to get a permit through a restaurant, but it will for sure not be a small restaurant in a corner somewhere. But have a look at the next slide. I spoke already about the industry. I have here a little statistics showing about the workforce comparison to GDP. So the blue bar shows you how many people of the whole economy are employed in that sector. And the red bar, how much GDP they produce. You see, of course, in the finance industry, there is a lot GDP generated, but there is only a small part of the workforce active. Whereby when we look, for example, at the tourism or agriculture, it's exactly the opposite. There's no surprise, I guess. But that also means that if someone wants to open, let's say, a finance company in Switzerland, he still needs to create jobs. So he needs to invest much more, especially when you only work with money. And also you need to have in mind that investments in Switzerland are expensive. The average salary in Switzerland per year is only the median, not even the average. The median income is almost $70,000. That is not the average, it's the median. So 50% of the people earn exactly like that, basically. And that includes all industries, meaning in the finance industry. I mean, we know in the finance industry, people earn a little bit more. In Switzerland, they even earn more. Then let's have a look at the next slide. So in practice, what does it really mean? So we are really talking about investments of 5 million Swiss francs at least. If someone wants to open, for example, a family office, that is possible too, but certain about number of jobs need to be created. And this just from the nature itself, it just means that there are several millions need to be invested. On the other hand, in certain industries, for example, let's say we had a look at the tourism before. There is a big tourism industry in Switzerland. And this, in the tourism industry, the salaries are of course lower. There are certain regions where there is less demand, where there is maybe higher unemployment, because there are primary mountain resorts where people want to invest and want to go. And those might be even a chance for an investor to get a residence through an investment in a specific area in the tourism. But having all said together, you probably will now understand that it really depends on the case by case, what is happening. It depends on the background of the investor, what he has experience in. So just like anyone who, let's say, owns a farm in India and has a lot of land and farmers and doesn't know what to do with his money, opening just a restaurant or a hotel without any experience is probably not getting him a residence permit, because the authorities not just want to see that he has the money to do it, but also the experience. So citizenship in Switzerland is also possible. After 10 years, you can apply for citizenship, and the process takes about 2 years. I don't want to talk too much about the details of the process. I just want to mention that it is possible because the process is a bit difficult, and there have been examples where some people never get citizenship. But there are differences, of course, because it is happening as Switzerland is Switzerland. It was always democratic. And in rural regions, in villages, there is still the Citizens Commission, where there is a Citizens Assembly, which is deciding on citizenship applications, because you become in Switzerland a citizen in first line of the village where you are, or the town where you are. In a city like Zurich, it's of course much easier because not the citizens of the town are deciding. There it is a citizenship commission, and it's much more easy and flexible. Let's have a look at the next. As you now have learned, I don't want to say to anyone, don't come to Switzerland. I want to encourage you to come. But I want to be aware that the conditions are very strict, and that it is for certain people, and that there are typically other ways around which are being frequently used and which are being discussed in on European levels as well, because other countries also don't like the idea sometimes of some countries which offer these golden visas, but those golden visas are in the long run also a way to Switzerland. It just needs to be taken with more time and more patience. But for someone who really has a desire to come to Switzerland, who has the financial means, and the right business to succeed, it is absolutely possible to get a residency in Switzerland, and that within a speedy time. Just to have it mentioned, for example, the tax deal, the lump sum taxation, there we can get residency within 3 to 4 months, maximum 5 months, if everything is well prepared. For the business side, it typically takes a bit longer, up to a year, sometimes longer. So for good cases in Switzerland with business, that is absolutely possible. So my pleasure talking here, and thank you for the opportunity here.
Thank you so much, Till. It was wonderful having you with us. So before you leave the stage, there is a question which came up. How do I buy an existing business in Switzerland? Also, can I get a PR status post that? If yes, is there a minimum period of stay included in it?
I didn't really understand.
Yeah, so basically the question is that, how can I buy an existing business in Switzerland? Also, can I get a PR status post that?
Yes, absolutely. It doesn't need to be a new business. It can be also a takeover of an existing business. Especially interesting are, for example, companies in distress. And because there you are saving jobs, and that is always a good point for the authorities, not just to create something new, but to save an existing company. But there in general would be also advisable that the investor has a certain background. So if an Indian investor already does business with Swiss company, those things might be discussed and might be very good cases indeed.
So the third part of question says, if yes, is there a minimum period of stay included in it?
Yes, in Switzerland, it is expected that you live in the country, but the Swiss residency law doesn't know a minimum stay requirement. So you're not like in many other countries where you have in residence permits. I'm not talking about the golden visas now. You have typically a requirement to stay half a year in the country. In Switzerland, there is a rule that you cannot or should not leave the country longer for half a year in a row. So if you have to travel a lot, it is not a problem. But if you travel too much, it might be tricky, but it's all a matter of justification and reason. Just getting a permit to have a permit is not the idea of the system, but if you have to attend family, if you have to attend business abroad, no problem at all.
Thank you so much. Still a big round of applause for him. He has come all the way from Switzerland to attend Grace. Thank you once again. Moving forward, without wasting any time, we have Mr. Rohit Bharadwaj, Associate Director, Private Clients, Henley & Partners. So a brief about Rohit. Rohit Bharadwaj is an Associate Director, Private Clients at Henley & Partners, India, and based in the Delhi National Capital Region. He manages the Indian business along with the Indian team at Henley & Partners and has been in an integral part of the team in growing the market in India. Rohit is specialist in providing residency and citizenship and investment advisory services to high net worth individuals and their families. He has 15 years of experience working with the wealth management, banking, and IT sectors in India, and particularly the strong experience in the financial planning, a vital element in the wider construct of the investment migration. Rohit has a postgraduate qualification from the Heriot-Watt University, Edinburgh, and is passionate about providing bespoke solutions for both his clients and intermediary partners alike. We welcome you, Rohit, and over to you.
Right. Thank you, Mayank, for a wonderful introduction and having me here today. Firstly, I would like to thank PHD Chamber of Commerce and the team for organizing an amazing hybrid expo on global residency and citizenship, which I think now happens every year. Good afternoon to everyone who are attending today's session via physical or virtual mode, and to my esteemed co-panelists. Today, I would like to speak about the latest investment migration trends, as the topic is global perspective, which is given to me among the Indian high net worth individual families, and give more of insights from a global trends perspective as well. But before that, I would like to give a quick introduction to our audience about our firm, Henley & Partners. Henley & Partners is a Swiss business and has been a global leader in residence and citizenship planning since last more than 2 decades. At one end, we have a private client practice wherein we advise high net worth individuals and families with gaining residence or citizenship by investment in their country of choice. At the other end, we have a very thriving government advisory practice in which we advise countries on assignments ranging from strategic consulting to assistance in the design and implementation of investment-related immigration programs. Over the last 2 decades or so, we have been mandated by 14 governments till date in this regard. As a firm, we are present at more than 30 locations, 35 locations now, in fact, and we advise on more than 25 investment migration programs from our global offices. Now, what we are seeing in terms of the recent global mobility trends, be it the ongoing Ukraine-Russia crisis, the impending climate change scenario, and the simmering Sri Lanka crisis down south, is actually the fact that more and more people are thinking of considering relocating to more stable and secure places that offer a better quality of life. I think in this era of uncertainty, having the right to reside in another country or having another citizenship with access to different lifestyle, healthcare benefits, and second home opportunities is actually becoming an ultimate asset. And people are realizing the importance of domicile diversification. In wealth management, we keep hearing the wealth advisors talk about not keeping all the eggs in one basket. Similarly, people are realizing the importance of investment migration as a risk mitigation strategy to hedge their sovereign risk in such volatile environment globally. Also, I would like to also talk about that climate change is now rising an important topic of discussion among developed and developing nations and the private sector. The impact of climate change on future migration trends and the global mobility is actually going to become ever more important and evident. In fact, recently I heard an interesting podcast on the impact of what we call as climate-induced migration on the World Bank website as well. So let me move further on. Now, when we talk about the latest investment migration trends from India, specifically for the post-COVID or the post-2020 era, the awareness about residence by investment and citizenship by investment opportunities has actually increased twofolds. In India, the majority of the inquiries, what we've seen our global and our Indian offices are actually geared towards residence by investment. And our Indian offices have also been getting all those inquiries specifically from Indian domicile families. At the same time, there has been a surge in inquiries from non-resident Indians about citizenship by investment opportunities at our different global offices. Now, very interesting to what we've seen in the last 2 years is that within this particular spectrum, what we are currently seeing is that the type of inquiries have also become very specific, that it's either immediate relocation or a plan B option. Now, in terms of the relocation, historically, and still the popular destinations include US, UK, Australia, and Canada. However, what is interesting to know is that the number of inquiries for the plan B options, like the EU residence by investment programs, have seen a major uptick. In fact, in the last 2 years, as Indian families are getting accustomed, to the idea of having a second home opportunity. And I think having one leg outside of India to fulfill their family or business objectives. Now, when I talk about the relocation migration opportunities, of course, the US EB-5, due to the underlying motivator of parents wanting the kids or the children study at Ivy League universities, still remains very strong. And with the recent reauthorization of the Regional Center program, there has been an increase in demand for the only permanent residence program in North America. As US, Canada as a destinations has been very popular historically and continues to see a high demand for residence options from India and the subcontinent as well. However, the only direct residence by investment program, which is known as the Quebec Investor Immigration Program, or the QIIP, is still closed and under review since November 2019. I think my esteemed co-panelists who have individually shared that will also share you more details about other country-specific programs. Now, UK remains another population destination among students and investors alike. But however, in the last 2 months, and I also shared with my esteemed co-panelist, is that we've seen major changes in the UK immigration policies, including the closure of the only residence by investment program, that is the UK Tier 1 investor visa and the UK sole representative or overseas business visa program. The third country, which from a relocation as an immediate family relocation has been popular, is Australia. Australia as a destination, what we're seeing is that there are business migration programs, and we do come across inquiries from different regions who want to migrate with the family utilizing the business migration programs as the country offers to establish existing or new businesses through these routes in Australia, which over time actually lead to permanent residency. Now, as we move forward, let's come to the Plan B options now. Pre-2020, what we've seen is that EU residence by investment programs were looked at as more of a lifestyle decision, specifically by the Indian high net worths or business owners. In India, most inquiries are related to Portugal, Greece, and even Malta residence by programs, including other programs like the Spanish Golden Visa and also the Italian Investor Visa. Also, due to the increased awareness about the flexibility and the features that these European residence by investment program offer to the applicant, what is very interesting fact to know is that we are even seeing the surge in demand, not only from the high net worth families, but also from affluent families, corporate professionals, entrepreneurs, who are actually looking to gain an alternative residency through investment. The three key reasons, in my opinion, are first, of course, the global mobility aspect. Like for any family, for specifically the Indian high net worth, global mobility has always been a paramount importance as they need to travel for business or pleasure, or for other reasons, except, of course, the stricter travel bans, which we've seen specifically in the year 2020 and 2021. The second key reason, in my opinion, is the wealth preservation aspect. India continues to be a great place for wealth creation. Indian HNIs are realizing the opportunity which the investment migration allows them to diversify their wealth or real estate portfolios by investing abroad, and at the same time, look at the wealth preservation factors, including the estate planning needs. Third, of course, which has been also highlighted by my co-panelists earlier, is the children's higher education factor. The pandemic situation that we have seen in 2020 and 2021 has actually made a lot of people realize the importance of having a backup plan or an insurance policy by opting for a residence by investment or citizenship by investment option for their kids' future. Now, I would also like to highlight another key emerging trends which we have seen in the last year or so. We're seeing the emergence of skill-based migration programs known as global talent visas, especially in Australia and UK, aimed at high caliber individuals from the specifically from the digital technology sector. The global talent visas have actually become very popular among the CXOs, the digital entrepreneurs, and technology professionals who can actually demonstrate a vast experience in their qualifying industry domain. What we're seeing is that these major economies are realizing the importance of attracting high caliber talent to boost their economy in the long run in the post-COVID era. This also includes the introduction of Tech Pass in Singapore, new golden visa options, which we are seeing recently, which Dubai has also introduced, which is aimed at startups and entrepreneurs to boost their technology ecosystem and enhance employment opportunities in their country. Now, when we look closer to our home in India, in Asia specifically, Singapore definitely has been an attractive destination, but the only direct residence by investment option is what we call it as Singapore Global Investor Immigration, only a certain category of entrepreneurs or business owners or through their family offices may actually qualify to apply for the Singapore PR, though it has been an attractive destination for a lot of people worldwide and specifically from India as well. But today I wanted to highlight that the only residence by investment program which leads to permanent residence is actually the South Korea residence by investment program. Through this residence by investment program, residents get access to a successful job market right now, even in the post-COVID, access to universal healthcare, excellent schools for the children, and also become an opportunity to become a part of high-tech and service-based economy. Apart from South Korea, Thailand, though, does not offer any residence program that leads to PR, but Thailand Elite Visa is actually popular equally among retirees and business owners, which is actually a privileged visa that provides different long-term residence options.
Yeah, Rohit, so sorry to interrupt in between. Just a small request, if you can wrap it up in next 2 minutes, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Thank you.
In fact, I just have 2 minutes more. So Malaysia also, when we talk about except Thailand, Malaysia has also a similar residence program known as My Second Home MN2H, which is actually a 10-year multiple entry visa. It does not lead to a permanent residence, but has no minimum stay requirements. The applicants are not allowed to work, but can incorporate their own business through the program. Now, though it has gone through several changes, and we're actually awaiting certain revised program details in Malaysia, but what we've seen in the last 3 to 5 years is that both Thai Elite and the Malaysia MN2H can actually be interesting options for Indian business owners to expand their business operations outside of India, but in the South Asia market. Please do visit our website, lnaglobal.com, for any updates and current investment migration programs offered globally. Right. Since 1990s, we have actually invested a lot of time and efforts in research knowledge over many years, which has been useful to our clients and partners alike worldwide. Since last 10 years, we have actually been releasing the Henley Passport Index quarterly, which is the original authoritative ranking of all the world's passport based on several parameters. This is also available in our quarterly Global Mobility Report released in April 2022. I'm happy to take any questions from the audience. If you would like to connect with me for non-obligatory discussion, I'm actually easily accessible over LinkedIn, or they can contact through the PhD team. Thank you. I hope this knowledge session was useful for the audience. And thanks again, Mayank, for inviting me to speak at today's event. Look forward to more events like this by PhD CCI in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rohit. It was lovely having with you. A big round of applause for Rohit, please. Thank you once again for joining us, and we really hope that we can work in the offline mode very soon when things settle down in a much better way and take things accordingly. Thank you once again, Rohit.
Thank you so much.
Moving further without wasting any time, I would request all our remaining panelists to be a little, shorten their presentation to at least 10 minutes or so that we can finish on time. So moving on, we are going to take a session on Singapore. Singapore city is located at the southern tip of the Malaya Peninsula, about 85 miles, 137 kilometers north of equator. It consists of the diamond-shaped Singapore Island and some 60 small islets. The main island occupies all about 18 square miles of the combined area. The main island is separated from the peninsular Malaysia to the north by the Johor Strait, a narrow channel crossed by a road and rail causeway that is more than half a mile long. The southern limits of the state runs through Singapore Strait, where the outlier of the Riau Lingga archipelago, which forms a part of the Indonesian, extend to with 10 miles of the main island. So specifically for the Singapore session, I would like to welcome Mr. Mohammed Amin, District Director for SRI Pte Limited. Amin is a real estate advisor that has more than 12 years of hands-on experience under his belt. Since young, Amin has winning mentality. That is why he chose his career in real estate rather than a job where other calls the shot. He knows the success, baguette success. You have to bestow success before you are successful yourself. So with these words, please allow me to welcome Mr. Mohammed Amin from Singapore. Thank you. Mohammed, if you can just unmute yourself, please.
Yeah, hi, thank you, Manyang, for the presentation. And thank you, PhD, for giving me this wonderful opportunity and organizing this wonderful exhibition. Okay, good afternoon, panelists, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. This is Amin here from Singapore Realtors Inc., a luxury real estate company from Singapore dealing in residential and commercial properties for high net worth clients. Okay, just give me a minute. I will share my screen. Okay, so why invest in Singapore? Okay, so I like to have a disclaimer in my presentation as well. Okay. So where is Singapore exactly? We are actually 4 hours away from India, and our land. Okay, total population in Singapore, we have 5.7 million, and residential property, we have 4 million actually. Total resident, 4 million, when I mentioned, right, it's organized by Chinese, Malay, Indian, and others actually. So we have the Singapore citizenship, non-resident, and the permanent residents. So history of Singapore is actually a former British colony, and Singapore was actually developed from an island of fishing and farming villages into the 19th century actually. It is an independent nation since 1965 with a political and legal system based on the British system. After independence, Singapore developed from a third world country to a first world country within 1 generation. So our political system in Singapore is actually quite strict, and we got our independence in 1965, and it's headed by the President of Singapore, head of the state, and the Prime Minister of Singapore is the head of the government and the multi-party system. So our political stability is very neat and clean. Actually, we have a general election every 4 to 5 years, and the ruling party is actually People's Action Party, which is PAP. And they've been ruling Singapore since 1965, which is almost about coming to 60 years. So rule of law, actually in Singapore, we have a very strong rule of law in Singapore. Everyone in state, including the government, is subject to the law actually. Economic stability, actually Singapore has an open economic stability linked to global trade and major financing hub. And Singapore is ranked actually one of the world's most competitive economic country. Singapore ranked #1 as the most world's competitive economy as well. And if in terms of doing business, Singapore ranked #2 of ease of doing business as well. Economic stability, Singapore foreign exchange reserve was measured as $269.8 billion as well. So our Singapore total foreign reserves, we actually have very good reserves, so to run the country as well. Stable currency, 1 SGD, we are almost equivalent to 0.73 USD. And we actually ranked 3rd place in the annual world rankings as the least corrupt countries. So we are very transparent and efficient business environment for everyone. Singapore attracts actually 16.7 billion worth of property investment in just Q3. And we are actually getting a lot of property investment all over the world. Private residential property market overview is actually on the uptrend. And private transactions volume and average PSF, if you notice, right, we are on 2021, despite the COVID, actually, a lot of investors came to Singapore to invest because they see the value in Singapore. And private residential rents has been increasing as well. So for investors who are investing in properties for rental income, actually, they can do well as well because of the residential rent increasing. Top 10 foreign buyers of Singapore private residential. We have on top of China and Malaysia, India is on the 3rd of the list, followed by Indonesia and the rest. So believe in the future of the real estate Singapore. Singapore property prices to double by 2030. As per Morgan Stanley prediction. So in order for the private property residential price to double by 2030, there must be a 5.48% per annum growth. From 2017, the property prices has been on the uptrend. So if you see, notice, right, on the new project launches from 2015, back then was 1,280 per square foot. Now we are almost launching at close to 2,000 per square foot. So subsequent, our new launch projects, right, it will be consistently be going on the uptrend. Is there an oversupply of properties that will crash the growth momentum? Because a lot of my investors ask these questions. So let's take a look at the demand and supply of the properties. So we are currently, our population now, we are looking at 5.7 million. We are projecting 6.9 million possible growth by 21%. So as your population goes up, your property price as well goes up together with it. So expected average population to grow is 109,000 persons per year. And if you look at the demand of the demand and supply, actually housing demand per annum, we require about 34,400 over units, and the build and the supply also, it's about 34,000. So it's just nice for the demand and supply. So besides the economic, the real estate is actually the main growth driver of the corporations, real estate corporations. So many businesses are actually increasing on the real estate investments as well. So real estate activities for the highest profit to capital crop. And amid poor home sales in the property market, right, actually the rich are still shopping for posh properties. And one of the India's richest men also actually invested in Springleaf Tower, actually. And non-residents deposit in Singapore jumped to 44% to record 62 billion in April. So a lot of overseas investors are even, besides investing in properties, they actually deposit money into Singapore due to the safe and security of the country. And have you heard about Dyson? Actually, Dyson is who manufactures the fan. They actually moved their corporate head office to Singapore as well. And then they also, the chairman actually invested on Singapore's priciest penthouse and bungalow as well. So during COVID, actually, our government, they set aside some budget to help the people and business, actually up to almost $100 billion to help the needy companies who were struggling back then. So now our economy is back to normal. So we are gearing up for more. So Singapore is in the golden period at the moment. Why I'm sharing? Because we actually have a proper structure of a Urban Redevelopment Authority, which is URA. They actually have a concept plan every 10 years. What are the investment plans? And every 5 years, they actually have a master plan as well. So all the investors who are investing, they are aware what is going to come up so that they know that in the future, their property is appreciated as well. So back then, Singapore in 1980, okay, and Singapore now, wow. So we have actually come a long way, and it's not enough. Singapore in the future, we are going to be a very different country at the moment. So the purpose of the master plan is to actually plan Singapore's land use for the next 10 to 15 years. So it's properly planned for the industrial estates, business zones, and actually for higher learning education as well. So Master Plan 2019, you have a livable and inclusive communities, local hubs and global gateways, and convenient and sustainable mobility, and rejuvenating a lot of familiar places, actually. So the Great Southern Waterfront, this is a very ambitious project by the government of Singapore. Recently, they actually announced another 10 years, they are moving all the shipping yard to Tuas. So they are going to make a lot of Great Southern Waterfront, a lot of residential properties. So they want to make Singapore a live, work, and play kind of country. So this is a parts relocation and the urban living and better accessibility.
Yeah, Mohammed, sorry
And-
to interrupt. If you can wrap it up in the next 2 minutes, please.
Sure, definitely. And the integrated resorts and Resort World also, we have the third building coming up actually. And Resorts World 2.0, a lot of new attraction coming up. And we do have the Global Investor Program as well for investors who chose to invest in Singapore through Global Investor Program. And these are my contact details, so we can get in touch, and then I would like to share more about that. So that's all I have. Thank you. Okay, Manyang, up to you. Over to you, Manyang.
Thank you so much. I mean, that was a wonderful presentation. You have actually taken all the news articles in a big way in this particular presentation to go with. That comes with a lot of validity and at the same time, a lot of goodwill in the market as such. So we thank you once again for being part of GRACE 2022 April edition. And we look forward to having your physical presence in the coming months in the different tier 2 and tier 3 cities where you're going to capture the market as well. Thank you once again. And any questions that we have received for Singapore specifically, we'll be forwarding it to you for your concern.
Thank you, Manyang, for the opportunity. And thank you, BH. Pleasure.
Thank you so much. Now, moving forward without wasting any much time, we are going to have a Canada session. So talking about Canada, Canada is a country in the North America. Its 10 provinces and 3 territories extends from the Atlantic to the Pacific and the northwards into the Arctic Ocean, covering 9.98 million square kilometers, 3.85 million square miles, making it the world's second largest country by total area. Its southern and western borders with the United States, stretching 8,891 kilometers, approximately 5.525 miles, is the world's longest binational land borders. Canada's capital is Ottawa, and there are 3 largest metropolitan areas, which are Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver. So to take forward this session, I would like to invite Mr. Prashant Ajmera, lawyer and founder and author from the Ajmera Law Group. Mr. Prashant Ajmera is a reputed Indian immigration lawyer, NRI, Canadian citizen since 1997, with more than 25 years of experience in the field of corporate and migration law, international trade, and assists HNIs and ultra HNIs in obtaining residency and citizenship by investments. He's an author of 2 books, Millionaires on the Move and How to Plan Your Child's Foreign Education. He has recently founded out Ajmera Capital to assist and advise HNIs and ultra HNIs to invest in 4 different assets. So before moving forward, everybody in this hall has already received a copy of the book that has been authored by Mr. Prashant Ajmera. It says how to plan for your child's foreign education in 2020 and 1 or none. So basically, to talk in detail for this particular book as well, he talks about more of the myths versus reality. So I would leave it to Mr. Prashant Ajmera to take us forwards. And thank you for being with us since the inception of the concept of international real estate in India, not only for GRACE. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayank, for wonderful introductions. And yes, this GRACE has come a long way. When we started in 2018, I never thought that we will come to this stage. You can see my presentation, Mayank.
Can you hear me? It's visible.
Yeah, it's visible, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, yeah, Mayank, we started back in 2018, started doing the RCI events in India, and I've been associated with you and the other event organizers, and it's been a wonderful journey. Unfortunately, these 2 years were all kind of in-house, but it has given a new opportunities and a new way of doing these virtual events and hybrid events, which we never thought of or imagine that we can do an event like this one, sitting at my home or an office and do this. So as Mayank has rightly mentioned that, yes, I'm an immigration lawyer with almost 25 years of an experience. I'm a Canadian citizen, and I've been assisting the students and the parents, basically planning for your child's study and settlement abroad. As a law firm, we don't particularly promote any particular programs or real estate But when we meet our clients, we try to understand the facts of the family, try to understand the family backgrounds, the children's wish, and then do the planning that what could be the ideal way for a child to probably study abroad and settlements. And then we give them a various options. As I'm from Canada, Canadian citizen since last several years, almost since 2006-7, I've been asked by Mayank to speak on the business immigration program of Canada. So I'll give you a brief overview very quickly because we are running out of time. On the three programs basic requirement. One is Canada intra-company transfer. The second one is the PNP business immigration program. And the third one, which is becoming very popular, is the startup visa program. So intra-company transfer program is particularly used by the, can be used by the Indian company who wish to start a business or acquire a business or probably go into the joint venture with the Canadian company in Canada. And while doing that, if they wish to transfer the people from India to Canada, they can use this visa, which is known as an intra-company transfer, which is very similar to the L1 visa of United States. So as an employee, you should be working for that multinational company or an Indian company in India. And that Indian company should have a branch, office or company in Canada, which is should be a parent company or a subsidiary or as a branch company or an affiliated company. And that Indian company should be running and managing a legitimate business on a continuous basis in Canada. And then if you are going to be transferred from India to Canada, you should be working on these three capacity. Either you should be an executive or a senior manager, or you have a specialized knowledge of the company's product or service. Plus, on top of that one, you should be working in India for an Indian company for a minimum period of 1 year in the last 3 years. This is a non-immigrant visa. So initially it is given for a period of 1 year, in some cases 2 years, and it can be eventually converted into a permanent immigration as well. So this particular visa is for two types of people, particularly the Indian companies who are interested in opening an office or a branch office, subsidiary companies or a parent company in Canada. And if they want to transfer the people from India to Canada, they can use this visa category. And for the executives, senior executives, managers, and specialized knowledge people who are in India, and if they wish to go to Canada, then their company might be interested in doing the visa for them or opening a affiliated company or a subsidiary, and can be done. Right now, we are actually assisting quite a few IT companies and a few of the manufacturing companies who wish to establish a subsidiary company in India, in Canada, and then we are in the process of transferring those executives and managers to Canada. The second program is the business immigration to Canada. And business immigration to Canada, as you know, the Canada has 10 provinces and 2 territories. So there are 12 different programs are there. Obviously, if we start talking about this program, it will take another hour and a half. But in general, the analysis of these 10 programs can be summarized in this one slide, whereby you have to show as an Indian businessman or a senior executive or a managerial person that your net asset, your personal assets, which is in your name and your spouse's name, is at least $500,000, or it's about 3 to 4 crores and above. So if your assets are more than 3 to 4 crores and above, you can qualify. The second requirement is that you should have either a business experience, that means you are a small SMEs or MSME, or a managerial person working in a company and you have 2-3 years of an experience. You have at least 12th standard pass. If you have a bachelor's or a master's degree, obviously it's preferable. You should have the IELTS score of the 5 bands and above. Investment required from province to province or state to state, it could be anything between 100,000 to 400,000 in a range, which is about 60 lakh rupees to about 2.4 crore rupees. You have to create a job for the local Canadian citizens or a permanent resident, which could be about 1 or 2. The business in Canada must be related to your business in a home country. So if you are in a construction business, Do not try to start a pizza place or a Subway in Canada, or probably you want to become a partner with your friends or relatives who wants to basically arrange a business immigration for you. Those kind of tricks doesn't work anymore. You should take exploratory business trip to Canada. That means you want to understand about that, how the business is being run, what are the rules and regulations. These are all these exercises being done to show that you are serious businessman. You are a small and medium-sized enterprise. You want to immigrate, and also you want to run and manage a business in Canada. That means you have taken an exploratory trip to know about how the business is being run, what are the rules and regulations, what are the taxations, and so on and so forth. Obviously, you must have a business plan, whether you are doing a new business, you are acquiring a business, you are taking a franchise, or you are going in a joint venture. You should have a business plan, and interview is required with the provincial governments. So these are the basic requirements. If you meet these requirements, and if you are more interested to know about the particular province, obviously you can give us a call, or basically you can go to our website, ajmeralaw.com, and click on the country Canada, and you have information about all these 12 programs in a one sheet. And you can see all these programs, comparisons and everything in a one sheet, on an individual programs, and in small video and everything is there as well. Now, the third program is the startup visa programs, which is a new ideas and a new technologies. This program is fairly new, started only in 2013. The only requirement of this program is that you must have a minimum 5 bands of the IELTS. No education requirement, but we prefer that at least you are 12 standard pass. Bachelor's or master's degree is always preferred. You have a minimum funds to settle in Canada, which could be anything between $25,000 to $30,000, depending on the number of families. There is a special quota, or 2,750 applications are being accepted per year, which has never been exhausted till date, till 2013, since we have started working on this program. Up to 5 founders per business can be included in a one-star startup, and that startup must be established outside the province of Quebec, because Quebec province has its own separate startup visa program. If you do not have a startup ideas, as our law firm and our business consulting arm in Canada can assist you in developing this business ideas. So looking to this requirement, what you need to do or show, if you have an idea, or if we have a developed idea on your behalf, that must be approved by the government approved business incubators or an accelerators, or your angel investors, which is also approved by the government of Canada, is ready to invest $75,000 Canadian in your business, or a venture capital firms, which is again a government of Canada approved, is ready to invest in your business up to 200,000. And if these three, either of the three is ready to make an investment in your business or in your startup ideas, then they will issue a letter of support. And that letter of support is basically your ticket, or qualifies you to apply for a permanent immigration of Canada with husband, wife, and children under the age of 22. So that's very basic requirements. Now, under this program, who can qualify? Because of the express entry requirements of the point system, most of the people who are under the age of 30, over the age of 35, who are not very good in English, but 5 or 6 bands, but has a various experience can qualify. So if you have a technical backgrounds, you can be a part of the startup visa program as a CTO or a chief technological officer. Financial backgrounds, you can be a CFO. If you're a marketing professionals, you can be as a chief marketing officer. If you're a management professional person, then you can be a CEO of this startup. Or if you are a doctors, lawyers, or engineers, you can be a chief executive officers, and many more professional people who are particularly in the age group of, say, 35 to 40, 55 can be ideally suited for the Canada Startup Visa program. And why you should look and consider about this program particularly, because I'm sure that you have children who are ready to go and study in Canada. But if you become a permanent resident of Canada under the startup visa program or a business immigration programs, then your children will pay the local student fees, and that fees can reduce by 80%. So that fees can be reduced. Let me repeat again, that fees can be reduced by almost 80%.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. If you can close it or round up by 2 minutes.
Yes, done. It's just 2 slides. This is just a process I have explained about the startup visa program. And once again, as the Mayank has mentioned, that all these programs are wonderful, but one size doesn't fit anybody. So as a law firm with since last 30 years of our experience, what we do is planning for your child's study and settlement abroad. And that's why who are physically present at the PhD Chamber of Commerce, they can pick up the book from the Mayank, How to Plan for Your Child's Foreign Education in 2021, Myth versus Reality. And if you are virtually watching this one, just send us an email at info@ajmeralaw.com, and we'll be more than happy to send you with no obligation, no charge, an ebook version of this book. And feel free to distribute this book to your friends and relatives. Before you make decisions on any of the immigration program, business immigration program, study abroad, work permits, the express entry, steel worker, professionals, I go to Europe, I go to do this one, read this 90 to 100 pages of this book. It will give you a lot of information. I have put on my 30 years of an experience into this one to give you a 360-degree view. Read this book and then only you make your decision. Thank you very much. Once again, Mayank, thank you to you and PhD Chamber giving me an opportunity to make this presentation to you. Thank you very much.
A big round of applause, Mr. Prashant Mehra, please.
Thank you, Mayank.
Thank you so much, sir, for always being with us and supporting us in the cause of hosting such beautiful sessions, specifically when it comes to Canada. And definitely we'll be meeting very soon for the offline mode, as you are also part of the upcoming IUSA passport series. So look forward for that too, sir.
Sure.
Thank you so much. So moving on for the last but not the least session, our friend Asad is waiting very patiently and have been sitting there for the whole day for his particular time to come. So moving forward, just to give you a brief about Turkey. Turkey, country that occupies a unique geographic position lying partly in Asia and partly in Europe. Throughout its history, it has acted as both barrier and a bridge between the two continents. Turkey is situated at the crossroad of the Balkans, Caucasus, Middle East, and Eastern Mediterranean. It's among the larger countries of the region in terms of the territory and population, and its land area is greater than that of a European state. Nearly all of the country in Asia, comprising the Oblong Peninsula, Asia Minor, also known as the Anatolia, and in the east part of the mountainous region, sometimes known as the Armenian Highlands. The remainder Turkish Thrace, called Trachea, lies in the extreme southern part of the Europe, a tiny remnant of the empire that once extended over much more of Balkans. So this was a brief about Turkey, and now to talk about our guest for today, Mr. Asad. I would like to give you a brief about Asad as well. Asad Miznani is the co-founder and CEO of House Finders Real Estate. Asad has 7 years of real estate experience in Turkey with an MBA degree and a large international experience all around the world. Asad established his own company in order to provide a professional service and guide foreigners in buying properties in Turkey and obtaining the Turkish citizenship through real estate investments. So we welcome you, Asad, and all for you.
Thank you, Mayank, for the nice and lovely introduction. And thank you, PhD, for giving me the chance to speak today about a very interesting topic lately, especially the Turkish citizenship by real estate investment. And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would love also to listen to your questions later on. So firstly, I would like to give you a brief about Turkey. Let me share my screen. Mayank, is it okay? We can see my screen, right?
Can you hear me, Asad? Yes, it's visible.
Yes. So I will speak a little bit about some information about Turkey, and later on I will explain briefly about getting citizenship by real estate investment in Turkey. So what's the advantages of investing in Turkey? We will speak briefly. A strong Turkish economy, developing economy, a qualified and competitive workforce, investment infrastructure that can meet any business need and investment need as well. The diversity of real estate, which is a very important topic here, because in Turkey, whatever your budget is, you can get your own property. Starting with $80,000, you can get. I'm sorry?
Amin, I would request you to kindly mute yourself. All these speakers who are not speaking now, request you to kindly mute yourself, please.
Can I carry on or not?
Yeah, Asad, you can continue, please.
Okay. So I've talked about low real estate prices comparing to another country. With $80,000, you can get a very lovely one-bedroom apartment in Istanbul, which is the most selling cities in Turkey. Also, there is also ease of ownership. For example, within 3 days precisely, you can get your property title deed. Like, this is also not easy. There is no process, there is no complications. You just pay the apartment due, payment and price. Afterwards, within 3 days, we can like deliver to you your title deed right away. So it's also like, also owning property in multicultural country is also a strong impact also for investment, for tourism, also need. And we don't forget the location of Turkey, because it's a hub between 3 different continents, like between Europe, Asia, and Africa. So also give it a privilege to like invest in Turkey, in a developing country between 3 continents, like for importing, exporting, business, services, flights, like many also attractions. Also, the population in Turkey, we have 80 million people. So there is a local market. You are not only depending on foreigners. You are depending on a local market of 80 million people, 20 million in Istanbul, that can give you a potential for investment, for business plans, for startup business even, because there is like no very complicated taxation system. You can easily open a company within 2 days in Turkey. So these are all attractions encouraging foreigners to come to Turkey and invest there. And also, of course, the tourism section. So I will just give a brief statistic about the last 3 years. In 2019, 1,350,000 houses were sold only for Turkish people. But for foreigners, there was around 45,000. So the market is for locals. So that's why it's like more stable, more sustained, because like the construction companies and government focusing on building for locals. So there is no chance for like, you know, to fall, like for the real estate market there. They are building for their own people, and also foreigners are getting advantage of buying property there for vacation, investment, or even getting the citizenship, which we will talk briefly afterwards. So 3 most selling cities in Turkey: Istanbul is number 1, Antalya second, Ankara is the 3rd one. I will make yes. So why Istanbul is number 1? Because the most foreign residents in Turkey are based in Istanbul, even the multi-international companies as well, and the largest population with 20 million. Job opportunities for different sections also as well. And the biggest projects of the government of Turkey are focused in Istanbul. One of them is Istanbul New Airport. I guess most of you heard about it. It's one of the largest airports in the world. The new canal, which connecting the Black Sea and Marmara Sea. There is also, we have Eurasia Tunnel, which is like a tunnel underneath the sea, connecting 2 continents together. The many luxuries, shoppings, the capital growth potential, the global tourism, which ranked 12th in the world and 3rd in Europe as Istanbul only. So there is like a huge potential for Istanbul. So talking about citizenship, I will just show you this table and focusing as house finders. company. Normally, we deal with real estate and providing citizenship through real estate investment, but you can get citizenship by different roles as well. We'll speak about it. So what's the processing time? Within 3 up to 5 months, you can obtain your Turkish citizenship easily. Getting a Turkish passport gives you the access to 111 countries around the world, including Japan, South Korea, and Singapore. Investment types, there are different types: real estate investment, bank deposit, capital contribution, governmental bonds, creating jobs assisted by the Ministry of Family, Labor, and Social Services. So you don't need to resign, like to make a residency in Turkey. You don't need any language, like Turkish language assignment or whatever. No need like to also re-announce your current citizenship. You can get it without any conditions. Like just get a property, make a power of attorney, and you can leave. And we follow up all the process A to Z completely up through buying the property until getting your passports and ID. So the program started with $1 million, like to buy one or more, more than one property, and then it was changed to $250,000. And now recently, but it's not executed yet, it turned to be $400,000. You should buy one property or more than one property, and the total amount should be $400,000. You, your wife, and all children under 18, they can get it without any extra fees. There is no donation, there is nothing. You buy a property, you get your Turkish nationality right away. So what's the process? Also, there is like, you need to block the property for 3 years after like, before applying to the citizenship. After 3 years, by getting the citizenship by 3 years, you can sell it directly. So what's the steps? This is my last point here. First, you choose a property, and of course should have certain specifications, which we can guide you through it. Complete the purchase process by awarding the property price, obtaining the title deed alongside with the sellability paper for 3 years. And then we submit applications for residency permit, afterwards for citizenship documents. And within like 3 up to 5 months after applying, you will get your citizenship for you, your wife, and all children under 18. So I would like to hear any question if there is any. Thank you so much for listening and giving me the time, and for the PhD Chamber of Commerce. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Asad, for the nice presentation and giving us the overview on that.
No problem.
With this, we come to the end of our session today. And I would like to thank all panelists who have spared their time today with us since the lunchtime today and supporting the PhD CCI's initiative. And I thank all our sponsors and supporters for extending their support in organizing this interactive session. It has been a wonderful session with great insights about the residency and citizenship program offered by different countries across the world. And we have witnessed more than 300 visitors who were there online with us on the portal, which clearly shows the enthusiasm towards this kind of activities which we have been doing. With the upcoming initiatives and collaborations such as Residency Malta and Invest in USA, II USA, we are sure to leave a long-lasting impression in the international arena. And as stated by our president during his presidential speech in the afternoon, Asia tops the 5-year UNHWI growth forecast with 39%, led by India on 63%, which itself shows that what a potential we have in this. And clearly these figures show how India stands promising when it comes to international investment and taking up residency and citizenship programs. Lastly, I would also request all our investors to practice due diligence before making any investments. And I also take this opportunity to thank all the participants who have joined virtually with us and physically. And thank you very much for being here throughout the day with us. And we look forward to have many more meaningful interactions with you all. And I also special thanks to the Rukmani Devi Institute of Advanced Studies for sending their students. We thank you very much, and we look forward to have you again here with us. And I request all our guests to please join us for tea. Thank you very much. And thank you all the panelists for being with us. And we will be updating you about the upcoming seminars and webinars. Thank you very much for your time.